Fuck me running. I am so fucking sorry, y'all. I do not usually do scheduled streams, and I'm sure it shows. I'm sure it shows now. So, Mr. Dumbass is right. My fucking bad. Oh shit, fire. It's good to see you, Freer. Oh man, we got Pillsnari, Freer, Minnesota conservative, hanging out with us. Dobry's hanging out. Boomer Bob saying, I was wondering why it kept saying there weren't any viewers, and I'm like sitting here talking to you guys in the chat. I was like, what the fuck's going on with that? That's my bad, dude. I'm an idiot. I have to hit the go live button. Oh, now I have to do all this content all over again. I am so sorry, you guys. Okay. Okay. Let's start with this one. We're talking about the government shutdown, okay? So, we'll start with this one and I'll go back to the one I just did. Jeez, I'm an idiot, dude. I'm so dumb. It's cause the button is like up here. Look, I'll show you. No, not that one. This one. Yeah. So the button is like up here in the upper right. Like I wasn't even paying attention. I'm a freaking dumbass. I thought it was going already. My bad. What's up, Friday? I'm just being a retard over here. Oh, shit. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the government shutdown. There has been a proposal from Republicans to continue funding for employees of the federal government and SNAP benefits, among a few other, what I think everybody could reasonably consider to be necessary programs, right? And the Democrats are turning their nose up to it, saying absolutely not, because one thing it doesn't do is allow the Democrats to fund Medicare for illegal aliens or for non-citizens of the country. So, it's just as well that I missed the Rob raid, because I've been fucking everything up right now in the beginning of the stream. I was just completely unprepared for it. So it's all right. We'll pick it up tomorrow or maybe later next week or something. That'll be fine. All right. Anyway, so continuing on with this. This is NBC. Who is this lady? Suzanne Delbene. Bino. I don't know.
The other thing that's percolating in the Senate is this idea of doing standalone bills, solving for things like I was talking with Senator Hawley about, solving for SNAP, making sure that program doesn't lapse, potentially doing it for other federal workers who are going without pay. Do you think the Senate should be doing that?
I think we should be at the table and making sure that we are protecting health care, reopening the government. We can do all of that.
Yeah. Protecting health care. What do you think that means? We can do all of that. We can do all of the things that we want to do and tell the Republicans to go fuck themselves, because they just kowtow and roll over every time we do that anyway, even if they are in power. These people are so smug, it's ridiculous. But what they want is Medicare for non-citizens of the United States. That's the one sticking point. The Republicans are like, no. And that's why the fucking Democrats will not negotiate. That's the one thing that's so important to them, that they want SNAP families to not have SNAP during fucking Thanksgiving. So
House Republicans aren't even in town. We haven't been in session for over a month.
The other thing that's percolating in the Senate.
That's because you all are completely fucking unreasonable, and you're unwilling to come to the table to do something that is a short-term solution to this whole fucking quagmire, which you created in the first place by trying to give American benefits to non-citizens of America, people who are not actually citizens. That shit is ridiculous. Go fuck yourselves. And this lady's trying to blame it all on the administration. So, Melaine Stansberry, New Mexico, I think is what they were saying. So I did watch this a minute ago, but I apparently was not streaming to YouTube.
Democratic senators from New Mexico, your home state, vote to open the government so that these SNAP funds are not at risk?
Let me be clear. The administration is choosing.
She got her Bill Clinton finger out for you guys, okay? And she's pinching the air in front of you to make sure Like you're paying attention.
To starve American children with money that they already have appropriated.
I'm not applauding
this
their.
is
I'm
a
not applauding
choice
their
by
tactics.
the White House.
Well,
this is a choice by the White House.
This
They
is
are
also,
choosing
Congresswoman,
to
this
cut
is
off
also a
food
choice
assistance.
by Senate Democrats
No,
to not
it is
vote to
not.
open the government. Yes, it is.
This
I understand
Senate-
why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want Medicaid funds restored. They're doing it because they want Obamacare premiums to be extended past the end of the year. I understand the reasoning.
Sir, let me just be clear. The money for contingency plans is sitting there. That is why the states are suing. The White House is withholding funds from
2 to 3
children
weeks worth
to
of
have
SNAP funds.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it may not be a big deal to you, but let me
It is
tell
a
you
big
that
deal to
for
me.
the grandparents, for grandparents
big deal to
that
me.
literally are feeding their children,
My point
to
is that
not
it's a
have
short-term
money
solution.
in those accounts,
It's
it
a
doesn't
short-term-
matter. At the end of the day,
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we have to give Medicare to non-citizens of the United States. That's the one sticking point that the Democrats have. Why is it so fucking important to them? And then you have propagandists like this bitch come out here and try to say that it's all the president's fault. That's ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculous. All you have to do is say that, hey, in order to receive Medicare benefits, you should probably be a citizen of the United States. Because a lot of taxpayers have been paying into that system for a long time. It doesn't seem right for it to just get wasted on people who've never even contributed once. How is that unreasonable or fucking racist or bigoted in any real way? But that's how these motherfuckers are going to spend it.
people need to be able to feed their families, and Saturday is when those funds
If you
run
feel
out,
so
and we are
strongly,
fighting
Congresswoman,
to get
why
that
not
funding.
ask the Senate Democrats from New Mexico to vote to open the government so that the SNAP funds...
Sir, I am here in the House of Representatives. It is shut down. I am fighting to get the government reopened. I am fighting...
Completely dodges the question and then starts morally aggrandizing herself and grandstanding. And she's still got that pointing finger. I am serious right now. You listen to me. I am so mad at you.
Put back into SNAP that is already existent, and I am fighting for the American people. I am here, but show me a single Republican that is here. Not a single one is here to make sure that Americans are fed on Saturday. That is why I am here.
Democratic Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury from New Mexico.
Ah, my goodness. What characters they have on the left, man. What characters they have. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. And you know what it is? You know what they really want, okay, is they have to win over the hearts and minds of these non-citizens in the hopes that hope beyond hope that 90% or the majority of their asylum claims go through, or that they're so backlogged that these people end up, falling through the cracks and becoming, illegal voters. That's really what it's about. They want the fucking votes. Right? And you hear such circular, like Oros-driven kind of argumentation about this too, right? First of all, Rob puts this really well. First of all, that's not happening, right? Non-citizens aren't actually voting. Then it's like, well, how long should someone live here until they get the right to vote, right? And then you prove that, people are actually voting illegally, and then they're like, well, that's a good thing. Those people have been here long enough, they deserve the right? So first it's not happening, then, it probably should happen, and then when it does happen, it's a good thing. Like the fucking pretzel-minded bullshit is enough to drive me crazy. Okay, and it's all stemming from TDS and this whole idea that somehow MAGA is a bad concept. Make America great again. America first. American citizens should be considered first. It's not that we're giving up on everything that we do for global initiatives around the world. It's just at some point we have to consider our citizens first. So, what's up, Race Car? It's good to see you, man. He says, I love a good Gaslight News Network. Indeed. And we got Murdercom hanging out over on Kick. It's not a morning stream. It's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. But it's good to see you guys. How y'all doing? Welcome in. Yeah. So, and none of this even approaches the fact that the people who become dependent on these systems, okay, end up some really twisted ideas and morals. Okay, there's tons of people out on TikTok and Twitter saying, you know, if I don't get my EBT, I'm just gonna go to the grocery store and steal a bunch of shit. I'm just gonna walk in, fill up a cart, and walk out, and y'all can kiss my ass, right? And they're probably gonna get away with it in places like California, places like Illinois, where the threshold for grand theft is so high that it doesn't even make sense for cops to chase them, right? They're probably gonna get away with it, and that's exactly why these people have this mentality. And again, it goes back to the orals, right? It's this cycle of keeping you, deaf, dumb, and blind to the truth of the world, so that you don't try to do better for yourself, right? Like, we'll give you just enough money to feed yourself, and then people get complacent about that. And then you threaten to take it away, and suddenly, well, I've become dependent on it. Now you're fucking with my food. So now I have to take drastic action in order to, quote unquote, survive, which justifies me going into a store and stealing $1,000 worth of fucking groceries. Right? And the people who get complacent about it too, you know, like an obese mother of 5 children is going in there and getting like steak and lobster on EBT and shit like that, and bragging about it. So, and it gets into the worst depths of depravity sometimes, right? We have this from Colin Rugg. It says, woman says she will start eating white people if EBT is taken away. It says EBT recipients will build their own nation and grow their own food. Well, we all saw how that worked out at Chaz Chop. I mean, I wonder if there's even a snowball's chance in hell they could be successful at that. But probably not.
I just wanted to come real fast just to make this video, just to make something very, very clear to the white man. Black Americans do not care about your government shutdown.
Okay. So let's read the subtitle here. Let me be very clear. It's Black Power, baby, and we will seize the moment. Soul survivors, Solan power, and forever. And soul is spelled as S-O-U-L. Yeah. Okay, that doesn't sound, explicitly black supremacist or anything. I've heard this argument before, too, that there's no such thing as black supremacy. Yeah, bullshit. A bunch of them assembled here in my city. The Not Fucking Around Club. Y'all remember that? That got memory hold pretty fucking quick, didn't it? But during the Breonna Taylor riots and protests, there was this militant group of I don't know what to say other than young black men. And they called themselves the Not Fucking Around Club, and they preached violence, they preached retaliation, and they used to demonstrate in military-style formations carrying assault rifles. And they went all over the country doing this shit. And they came to my city because of Breonna Taylor. And they assembled, everybody was standing at attention for about 10 minutes listening to this guy fucking drag on and on and on. Well, there's a thing in the military that apparently whoever's advising this group didn't understand, called parade rest. And it's sort of like attention, but you spread your legs apart, you put your hands behind your back, and what that allows is for blood flow to continue through your body naturally. Otherwise, if you're standing at attention for longer than 5 or 10 minutes, you're liable to pass out, especially if you're clenching your legs together. And guess what happened at Not Fucking Around Club's fucking get together where they were all standing at attention for 20 minutes? Somebody passed out while he was holding on to a loaded rifle, and when he fell over, he shot himself in the fucking foot. Yeah. That's the level of intelligence we're dealing with here. But anyway,
And Black Americans do not care about you taking away our EBT and our government assistance, because Black Americans never depended on the American government to take care of us and feed us, because we never could.
Okay, no, wait a minute now. Did you catch that? Black Americans never depended on the American government to feed us because we never could. So if you can't, then you did. And the objective truth is that a lot of people that depend on EBT and SNAP are in fact Black Americans. So what, do they just not count as Americans if they take EBT, or what are you trying to say here? What's up, Grumful? It's good to see you, man. We got K2 in the house, Gingerwave. My video's gonna get demonetized because I'm sitting there smoking and flicking the camera off. That's okay.
Americans do not care about you taking away our EBT and our government assistance, because Black Americans never depended on the American government to take care of us and feed us, because we never could. We were never able to depend on the government, in spite of what you may say.
They were never able to depend on, never, not once. Not even since LBJ, when he created all these entitlement programs and said, we'll have those N-words voting Democrat for the rest of their lives. Yeah, go ahead and Google that if you want to. That's fucking real shit, dude. It was a recording device that Kennedy had installed in the White House, in the Oval Office, that LBJ didn't fucking know about. Nobody fucking knew about it. The tapes were recovered, and it's a conversation LBJ had with his cabinet one day. But.
And what you may try to force us to believe. So you can sit back and you can mock, you can laugh, and you can think that you're about to starve us to death.
Okay, lobster lady. I think I will mock and laugh, but I don't want anybody to starve to death, okay? Here's what I'll say to you is, your local Baptist church probably has a food pantry. I would recommend you go down there and, tell them that, hey, I'm having a hard time. EBT got cut off. Help me out. If they may be stressed because of the situation that's going on. Okay. A lot of churches work together. My church has like 3 sister churches. So they'll have resources. Okay. All of the churches are going to band together and try to cover this as best they can. There's other organizations out there that are philanthropic in nature and not necessarily religious that do the same thing. So if it's that bad, please go to one of those places. Don't run down to the grocery store and just steal a bunch of shit.
But I'm here to let you know that we are going to eat regardless, even if we have to hunt you animals down and roast and eat you.
Now, you see the anger and the vitriol in this woman, man. It is just bad. It's all the white man's fault. It's all the white man's fault. And she's got to fucking bear down on an entire race of people, apparently, because of her perception and her worldview. It's insane. And I feel bad for her, honestly. I really do. That it's become so twisted in her mind. Every single little thing always has to be about race. So, K2 says, I don't see socialists donating, but you see a lot of churches donating. Yeah. I mean, I definitely see a lot of churches donating, for sure. Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. No, socialists don't want to give their money out. Oh, hell no. No, especially those in the power of the government. They want you to starve. They want you to suffer. And then they want to point the finger at Trump. That's the fucking reality of the situation. We just saw that from finger pinchy pointy lady. But
the delectable crackers and cheese.
Okay, well, that was blatantly fucking racist.
We will make it happen if we have to trust and believe me. And if it takes this government shutdown for black people to finally come from under the government and understand that we don't need to be paying our taxes into this government, what we really need to be doing is taking care of one another, buying land, and growing our own food and building our own nation. If this government shutdown and starvation is what it's going to take, then let the party begin. It's Black Power, baby, and we rise.
So what do you suppose she meant by coming from under the government, right? Isn't that like a euphemism for an uprising, right? Like perhaps a violent, militant, Marxist uprising? Bet it stinks in that car. It probably does, yeah. Oh, goodness sakes. Okay, so there's that coming from some folks. And again, I genuinely feel sorry for folks like that. I mean, it's so twisted in their mind that they feel like this blatant vitriol and racism is somehow justified. It truly, it's ethno-nationalism, right? She's saying the black people need to buy land and make their own damn country if the government shutdown doesn't stop. Yeah, and there's no way to accomplish that without a violent uprising. So, calls the revolution, calls the violent uprising. Anyway, so according to this genius, you're a shitty person for believing that people who want to receive government benefits should have to pass a drug test or work. Wouldn't that be nice if it was necessary to have a job before the government starts dishing out the dole? It doesn't have to be a great fucking job. It can be a shitty fucking job. But do something, do some kind of income, and then you'll have some assistance in return, right? Because at least there's evidence that you're trying. But no, you're a shitty person. You're a shitty person if you think fucking having any kind of restrictions or approval process to any of these benefits is a good thing or should be necessary. It's crazy.
I think that someone needs to pass a drug test or show proof of a job to be able to deserve SNAP benefits and be able to deserve to eat. You're a shitty person. Minimum wage in this country is not sustainable. You cannot work 40 hours a week.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter though, right? Even if so the point of SNAP is to supplement people who cannot get beyond the minimum wage sort of hump, right? Isn't it? I thought that's what it was intended for. Call me crazy. So,
a week at minimum wage and afford a place to live and food on your table, especially if you have kids. And
right, and SNAP benefits is actually entitled based on the number of children that are in the household. So, one person is going to get something like one child is going to get you something like $230 a month. Having 2 kids, it's double that. 3 kids is triple that, so on and so forth, on down the line. So, you can't tell me that all of this hasn't already been argued and accounted for. You're just ignorant of the facts. I mean, that's ultimately what it boils down to. But.
And if you're going to tell me...
All right, and that's a very good point, Race Card. Fraud, waste, and abuse are things. People do endemically take advantage of the system frequently and often. You might even say it's probably more widespread and more frequent than the people who actually need it. Right? If we did like a Doge audit, I think One Hit was suggesting that over on Kick, of SNAP benefits and where all of it's going and where all of it ends up, what would we find? You know? What would you find? You're probably going to discover that the vast majority of people don't even need it in the first damn place. They're able-bodied, they have some skill, they have some college, or yada, 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 on down the line. It's perfectly viable for them to go out and get a reasonably paying job. But of course, all of this is fueled by an appeal to emotion. So it has to appear as bad as possible. So we immediately go to people on minimum wage can't afford to feed their kids. So why should they have to have a job? Like, well, wait a minute. What? No, they get the minimum wage job, and then the SNAP helps them over the hump, right? That's the whole fucking point. You dipshit.
That you think that somebody doesn't deserve to eat for whatever arbitrary moral reason you've decided is the line on who deserves to eat or not, I think you're a shitty person.
How am I deciding the line on who gets to eat or not? How did I decide that you should be utterly fucking dependent on the government for your food? Like, that's not something that I consciously decided or that I voted for. You know, if I had my druthers, nobody would be on SNAP. We'd all be successful enough to be entirely independent of the government altogether. And then, you know, our tax dollars can go to something that's more productive for society rather than trying to pay for your fucking grocery bill. Right? Give me a fucking break. Well, some of my stuff got a little bit mixed up here. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they were talking about. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Anyway. So not only are Democrats refusing to come to the table to ensure that their constituents can get SNAP benefits, they're insisting that Medicare go to illegal aliens, people who are currently seeking asylum, which means we haven't figured out whether or not they deserve asylum yet. So they are not citizens and thereby illegal aliens. I don't give a fuck what Joe Biden did. That doesn't make it right. So there's that. Then the people who are hopelessly dependent on these SNAP benefits are insane in the brain because they think, you know, Whitey owns the government, therefore Whitey's keeping me down and trying to starve me and my kids. So I'm just going to make my own country and kill a bunch of white people and we'll roast them over the spit roast on the camping fire. You know? And then these liberal white women are out here kowtowing to it, saying, you right. You can't be telling people who can eat and who can't eat. Again, it's all emotional appeals. There is no logic or gears turning or thinking about what the consequences are or should be or anything. It's just, we have to help these people because they asked for it. Well, that's how you end up with an entitlement system that is rife with fraud, abuse, and people who don't need these benefits sucking up all the resources for everybody else. Trying to blow these social programs out and into as far-reaching and as much influence as they could possibly have. And then the Democrats will continue to fuel that machine as much as they can because all they want is a seat in Congress so that they can get kickbacks and make millions of dollars on insider trading. So Rob covered this one. I guess we can talk about that. That does kind of tie in a little bit. So I know most of you guys are from Rob's stream though, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you came from Rob, put a 2 in the chat if not. Let's try to figure that out. Oh, hey, I can actually do like polls and stuff, can't I? Nah, it's okay. It's not really that important. I'm just curious if most of you are from Rob or not. I guess we do got a couple of people hanging out over on Kick. They're probably not from Rob's stream. So, all right. Let's take a look at this. So, this is from Cernovich. It says, the horrifying reality of living among primitives after you have given up your guns. So, Racecar says 3. So, this is actually an incident that occurred in Britain on a TV show. I'm not sure of the network. But this woman calls in and yeah, she's talking about the fact that her husband was out walking his dog and this Afghan immigrant stabbed him to death. So, all right. This is really bad. It's very graphic. But.
Oh, I live in the borough right next to Hillingdon.
Yep.
And I moved into my house in 2019. My local shop, there's been 3 stabbings, 1 murder since then.
Wow.
My friend was murdered last year up on the High Street. Girl I know was murdered in Southall Park. The government are failing us. I'm so scared for my children. I have a 22-year-old son, and I'm begging him to move out of the country.
Oh my goodness,
I
feel for you.
What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting our children in so much danger. They're putting everyone in danger, and they're not doing nothing to help us.
And that's the thing. A lot of us feel that you know how many is too many.
They're pushing us to do something that we don't want to do. We are peaceful people. British people never vote against their government.
Yeah,
they're going to push us to it because they're not listening to us. Our friends, our family are dying. I had a cousin murdered 20 years ago who was stabbed to death, and nothing has changed, Julia.
I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm sure I speak for everyone listening and watching right now. My heart goes out to you, and that's the reality.
I don't leave the house without a man.
You're that worried.
Well, everyone I know is getting stabbed.
Everyone I know is getting stabbed. Shit's insane. This shit is insane. She listed off, 6 occurrences from her own personal acquaintances who have died from stabbing incidents in her hometown. Could you fucking imagine? Now, take Lobster Car Lady, okay, and put her in this environment where she can do no wrong because of the melanin content of her skin. And she wants to eat white people and make her own country. Like, what do you get? It's absolute fucking pandemonium. It's lawlessness. It's fucking Mad Max. That's exactly what London is coming to. And that's exactly what the Democrats want to do here. I'm so glad that Trump won the last election. I really am. I don't know where we would be if we had Kamala Harris as fucking president. It would be insane. Because nobody would be doing anything about the huge influx of illegal aliens. Nobody would be doing anything about the huge amounts of spending that's going into the social programs supporting them. At least the Republicans have finally found a spine. There's a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel that we're gonna clean the situation up and try to bring it back to balance. But my God, I am so glad I don't live in London. I'll tell you that.
They're getting raped in parks. This is where I live, not where the politicians live.
Do you think that's part of the issue, that they don't live in the real world?
Keir Starmer, if you're listening to this, please do something. I'm petrified. I've never broken the law in my life. I've been a law-abiding citizen. I've been a civil servant. Please do something. It's us that are dying on the streets. You talk about being racist. We're not racist. My sister's mixed race. Yeah. I was a white child brought up in a mixed race family. Nothing to do with race.
Exactly.
It's to do with our safety.
Sarah, I mean, 100%. We agree with you every single word, and I'm so sorry. I'm sending you a big hug over the ether, and I'm sure everyone else is.
Yeah, my heart goes out to her for sure. And it's a shame. There were a few people in Rob's chat that were saying, you know, appealing to Keir Starmer is a waste of time. Appealing to saying I'm not racist is silly and weak, and it's like, well, you got to consider the fact that this is the UK, okay? They locked up Count Dankula because he had his dog do a Nazi salute. The place is going to hell in a handbasket, man. I'm gonna tell you that. And it's like my ancestral homeland, you know? Like I have family heritage that goes back to Devonshire, England. The shit breaks my heart. It's awful. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's gonna happen over there. I really don't. And Racecar says it, you know, if Kamala Harris was president, we would be London. 100% we would. They just elected a fucking communist in New York. You know, how long until New York ends up being in the same fucking boat? So I'll tell you what, man. Like I said, there's a glimmer of hope at the end of the fucking tunnel, right? And Japan knows it. Japan knows what the fuck is up. They put on a fantastic display for President Trump when he arrived in Tokyo. They had the I don't know what band it was. And in America, we have a different band for every branch of the service. So I'm not sure which of Japan's, services provided this band, but they did an excellent rendition of YMCA, and it gave me the funny. I thought that was great. That's just a little bit of levity for you. Apparently everything's going super awesome over in the talks with the Japanese Prime Minister, who is a lady and is of the conservative variety. But hey, what's up, Miss April Dawn? It's good to see you. Speaking of ladies of the conservative variety, she says Escape from New York was a documentary. Shit. Probably so, unfortunately. Yeah, man. It's fucking nuts out there. And the one man who, like I say, is the great white hope, as Jesse Lee Peterson would put it, is sitting in the Oval Office right now, and I am so glad for it, man. Japan gets it, says Racecraft, right? So was Idiocracy. Idiocracy was definitely a documentary. Oh, my goodness sakes. Okay, I think what they're talking about on Charlie Kirk was the food stamp shortage. But let's take a look here. Charlie Kirk show has continued on despite his death. God rest his soul. So these guys have sort of taken up the mantle for now. I think they're still sort of deciding who the main host is going to be. But
because again, people.
Let me back this up a little bit.
Anyways, this is one interesting piece, though, that we got to keep our eyes on as we're looking at this race. Because, again, people, you have to understand, in front of us, we have two lanes. You're either going to go grievance populism, which is essentially socialism into communism with Mamdani, Maggioni, or you're going to go MAGA, which is conservative national populism, which is national renewal, which is patriotism.
I'll be right back.
Those are the two routes. The establishment is so screwed the pooch in this country economically, culturally, civically, that there is now at a crisis point. There is an inflection point in our country where we're either going to go this way or we're going to go this way. There's only two options. The MAGA way is the American way. You still have the rule of law, the Constitution, patriotism, the American flag. You still get, apple pie and baseball. The other way is a unrecognizable hellscape, a hellhole that we probably would not be able to come back from, although I never bet against America. I'll say that. But here, this is a really big deal. And why are we at this inflection point? Because we have, as a country, over the last 40 years, pursued foreign interventions. We've spent money on blood, sand, and death. We've inflated our currency. We've debased it. We've spent deficits that are eye-watering. And we have left the business of domestic policy to the side. We have ignored it. We have not pursued it in earnest and with vigor. And this is the Charlie Kirk show. This is ultimately what Charlie's message was. We have to have an economic moonshot. We are in a race against the clock. We are either going to deliver on the promises that Trump was elected on, or we are going to ignore them and get distracted by infighting or whatever. And Gen Z is not going to get a piece of the American dream. They're not going to buy in. But I just want to, before we go to break, I want to play.
Yeah. Well said. Well said, Andrew. So, let's see. This was from yesterday's broadcast, so y'all can check that out. I'll give you a link. Definitely do continue to support the Charlie Kirk show. That was based. And they're still based. So. Okay. Well, thank you for stopping in at YouTube, Miss April Dawn. I do appreciate it. All right. Yeah, that's what it boils down to, man. Is what do you want? What do you want? Do you want to become like Europe? Do you want to become? You want New York to become London? Do you want, you know, fear and unrest to grip everyone's souls all across the heartland, or do you want to try to embrace Americanism and America First values? We're in the thick of a turning point, for lack of a better term. We truly are. And I don't know what's going to happen after, you know, after Trump's term is up, but he keeps talking about doing a third term. I don't know how I feel about that. That seems like a bad idea. At first, I thought it was a meme, but Steve Bannon seems pretty damn serious about it. I'll tell you that. We can take a look at some of that if you want. I didn't have any on the docket, though. But yeah, we had this from Kaneko the Great, one of my favorites. If you haven't followed Kaneko the Great, definitely do. But here is this poll from Gallup. Okay. Pride in being an American bipolitical party. And you can see red is the Republicans. Pretty much always been prideful of America, even since, yeah, this is in 2001. Okay. Everybody was pretty much at about 85-90%. Right. And since then, Democrats and independents have fallen off, or Democrats are at 36% right now. 36% in 2025. Republicans have dipped quite a bit, but still maintaining that 92. We're on the bounce back. It's good shit. But this explains so much too, you know. It's not, you know, it's not fighting the government shutdown. It's not fighting the Republicans. It's not standing up for their constituency. The Democrats are fighting the very principles that this country was founded on. Democrats are trying to absolutely undermine and destroy, you know, everything that makes America what it is. Because number one, they're fearful of Donald Trump. You know, he lives in their heads rent free. And the amount of grassroots motivated support that Trump has absolutely fucking terrifies them. I'm certain of that. And the other thing is as they get more and more exposed to be the hateful, sadistic creatures that they are, they realize the problem isn't people, it's the institutions that protect principles such as free speech or the right to bear arms, right? Or the right to reasonable search and seizure, which was vehemently violated during 2019, and every Democrat fucking applauded it. They still do. Joe Biden's greatest legacy was forcing government workers to go get the jab and violating their bodily autonomy. Meanwhile, on the other hand, they want to sit there and argue that, oh, no. We definitely support bodily autonomy. Stay out of our bodies when we want to, you know, end a different human being's life that happens to be inhabiting, you know, a womb. But this shit drives me nuts. It really does. Hold on a second. Let me try and fix my camera. You see my dog? Hold on a minute. Oh, you goofus. You got up. He's laying on his back doing this shit. He's so fucking goofy. All right. Sorry. Will you hush and quit making a fuss? I'm trying to do a show. Hush. Okay. Yes, you are too cute. I know. Get down. Go on. Out. 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 Go on. Out. This is how well he listens, okay? Hold on a minute. I'm gonna step away for just a second. I'll leave you guys with something to watch, though. Or not. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Yeah. So not only, 48,000 people were laid off or fired from your carrier. No shit, man. I'm sure it was higher than that. You consider all industries across the entire country? It's in the millions. But So consider that for a moment, okay? The seditiousness and the whole premise behind what fuels the Democrats is simply a hatred for America, in my opinion. But get this from Mike Benz. It says FBI Ed Corrigan is pro-Putin and anti-Biden. Corrigan secretly controls the Freedom Caucus and has plans that are not good for the FBI. This was released from classified documents which have become unclassified. But yeah, this is internal communiques of the FBI under Biden, okay, saying that this guy's anti-Biden and he has plans that are not good for the FBI because he controls the Freedom Caucus. Who's Corrigan? He's some kind of representative, I'm certain of it. Let me look. Right? Ed Corrigan, yeah. Let's see. Well, okay. Conservative Partnership Institute. So he's part of a think tank. So the claim here is that somehow this guy from a conservative think tank is controlling the Freedom Caucus and he needs to be investigated by the FBI. So even in the venues where you should be allowed to have a differing opinion, you're not allowed to. No. This is Gestapo fucking KGB horseshit, man. Like, what the hell? Just because somebody stands against you politically, you're going to send the FBI after him and investigate him. They go out there and they say, quite hypocritically, no kings, no kings. But I can't think of anyone who's been more of a tyrant in my lifetime than fucking Joe Biden. Or I should say Joe Biden's cabinet, right? Like, we all know Joe Biden didn't do a fucking thing. And all he did was auto-pin every bill he signed. But yeah, I mean, it's fucking nuts. Then on top of that, there's a section of the stuff that was declassified of FBI Operation Arctic Frost. Confirms that they targeted the COO of Turning Point USA. All of this happened under Joe Biden and Chris Wray. So again, current chief operating officer of Turning Point maybe routinely does podcasts for TPUSA. Under investigation from the FBI. Simply for being a conservative under Biden. They're sending the FBI after you. But no, they're gonna go out there and say, no kings, we don't like kings. We don't want a king. Washington said no kings. Yeah, well, what the fuck was Biden? Okay? He's sitting here doing everything you're accusing the right of. And here's the receipts for it. Here's the proof. Internal communiques. Investigation documents. You want to sit here and just vaguely make these vaporous claims that somehow Trump is going to go after his political enemies. And I haven't seen one lick of that yet. We're about a year into this presidency. He's had plenty of opportunity to do it. Hasn't done it yet. People who assault police officers, people who assault Congress people end up getting detained in the very least. But that's not an FBI investigation. Turning over every single grain of sand throughout a person's life in order to figure out whether they're some kind of terrorist or not. That's what those investigations are intended for. And yet they're pointing them at political enemies, political commentarians, people who are part of conservative think tanks, simply for being contrarian to the sitting administration, right? Fucking awful. Awfulness. The real tyranny is right under your nose, and they don't want to look at it. They're not even interested in it. Because they supported it. Even if it was tacit. Even if it was like, it's a Democrat, I guess I'll vote. Even though I don't really like Joe Biden, which is what so many of them say now. I didn't really like Joe Biden, or I didn't vote. I didn't vote at all. Right? Oh, go fuck yourself. Yes, you did. Like, you care enough about politics to come into a conservative space and shit talk us. You fucking voted. Don't give me that bullshit. I don't know, maybe they are ignorant enough to not even realize that the one thing that they have, the largest and most significant power that you have over the government, is who you send to represent you in the executive branch and in the legislative branch. Not only of your local government, but your federal government as well. So everybody definitely keep that in mind. You know? We need to avoid tyranny like this shit from happening anymore. We need to not engage in these types of underhanded fucking tactics or play these types of games with people, because that's how all of it comes crashing down, in my opinion. That's how we really find ourselves in a tyrannical authoritarian state. What were these guys saying on this fucking modern day debate last night? That some lady had been black bagged was the claim, right? And Rob demanded evidence of that. They show the quote unquote evidence, and it's like some news report of this lady having her face blurred out. And it's like, do you know what black bagged means? You idiots! There's supposed to be a black bag over their head. So they just make these vaporous fucking claims, and they show something that doesn't even support their argument in the first fucking place, and then they say, "Yep, I'm right. I did it." It reminds me of that fucking debate with food shops, and there's so many people on the left that are like this. They just make a completely illogical argument and then say, "I win because I was a bigger asshole than you, because I was louder and I spurged out more, and you didn't get a chance to talk. I win." There's no way to have political fucking discourse, dude. I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you that. You know how we do have political discourse, though, is in court and in Congress. So you remember those? Sorry, I thought he was peeing. Those, what are those? The wildfires out in California or whatever, right? And it came about that Newsom had kowtowed to a bunch of environmentalists and drained reservoirs in order to benefit some fucking fish, some kind of fish. And that's why the firefighters were running out of water trying to fight the freaking wildfires. This is what I've been saying the whole time. Every time there's wildfires in California, I'm like, why? How can you be short on water? It falls from the sky every fucking day. Just catch it in a bucket and hold on to it for a year. And hey, next season, when the wildfires come again, you'll be prepared. That's what those reservoirs are for. Hello? But no. Some fish was in danger of having its population decreased. So, we got to drain all the reservoirs. Son of a bitch. Wobbly was telling me, he lives out in California. He's a very good friend of mine. I don't know. Is he watching over on Kick? He might be. Nah, he's not hanging out. That's okay. But Wobbly was telling me that they were draining the reservoirs and dumping the fresh water into the fucking ocean. Like, what the hell? What kind of sense does that make? So now you're disrupting the salination balance for the animals that live in the fucking ocean. Stupidness. All right, anyway, what does this say? Palisades fire victims are officially suing Gavin Newsom in California for negligence causing the devastating fires. Gavin must face accountability. Hell yes. Get it done.
Says the state is blameless here, that the lawsuit is meritless because an arsonist is to blame. However, lawyers for the victims say, wait a minute, that failures and negligence on the part of the city and the state make them financially liable for the losses that you see. So, let me explain. The U.S. attorney has already charged 29-year-old Jonathan, says the state is blameless here, that the lawsuit is meritless because an arsonist is to blame. However, lawyers for the victims say, wait a minute, that failures and negligence on the part of the city and the state make them financially liable for the losses that you see. So, let me explain. The U.S. attorney has already charged 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderneck with setting the Lockman fire in the hills above the Palisades. It was around midnight on New Year's Eve, and by dawn, firefighters claimed to have put that Lockman fire out. But
I have no idea what's going on with this. This fucking video player is a piece of trash. But Grumple says California Stan has one desalinization plant and another one ready, but delayed for a decade last I checked. Last time I saw, it was because the footer for intake might disrupt sea turtles. How does that not surprise me? They care more about salmon and sea turtles than they care about fucking human beings. These people are crazy. All right. It should be considered dereliction of duty. He should be removed from office for this shit. And anybody who supported it in the California House of Representatives should be removed as well. What's up, not Voltaire? It's good to see you, man.
Later found that wasn't accurate, that firefighters failed to extinguish the fire and that embers continued to smolder underground and reignited to cause the Palisades fire.
I'm going to try refreshing it. I'm sorry. It's abysmal performance here. No, it's catching, it's hiccuping right at the same spots over and over again. I don't get it, man.
Above the Palisades. It was around midnight on New Year's.
Come the fuck on.
By dawn, firefighters claim to have put that Lockman fire out, but investigators later found that wasn't accurate. That firefighters failed to extinguish the fire and that embers continued to smolder underground and reignited to cause the Palisades fire. And here is their alleged smoking gun. January 2nd, 24 hours after firefighters said the Lockman fire was fully contained, this hiker video shows the fire still smoldering, and you can see the smoke. Now, lawyers in the lawsuit say the firefighters failed to use thermal imaging or mop up the Lockman fire, so it was out. They also say the state Parks Department, contrary to its own rules, failed to inspect where the fire began on the park or post a fire watch, despite a high wind forecast that investigators say reignited the embers a week later.
There's no evidence that a single state employee did their job, followed their own policy manual, inspected that area where the fire was, knew that these devastating winds were coming. They just didn't do their job. And we intend to hold the state of California responsible.
Governor Newsom rejects the claim, saying, quote, the state didn't start this fire. That was an arsonist. And the state wasn't responsible for responding to or monitoring the fire, but opportunistic plaintiffs' attorneys.
How is the state not responsible for responding to the fire? That's bullshit. Hell no, man. Hell no. I hope they fucking rake him over the coals, dude. I hope they rake him over the coals. The state was absolutely responsible for responding to the fire. And they failed to do so because they didn't have the water. Because of your stupid policies.
Attorneys are now going after this Department of Parks and Rec.
He threw the firefighters under the bus. He took no responsibility, completely dodged the issue of his own state parks agency not doing inspection of this land.
So the lawsuit, John, as you know, may or may not go to trial because the state has a lot of immunity. But as for the rebuild, out of about 7,000 homes destroyed, 1,500 have applied for permits, and about 620 have actually received them. So we see some piecemeal construction going on. Back to you.
Well, it's pretty clear from that hiker's video that the earlier fire was not out. That's for sure.
Fuck. All right, so there you go. I hope California families do get some type of restitution for that. God, that video is abysmal. Why is that so shitty? I don't know, but I was looking for it on Fox's YouTube channel. I can't fucking find it. It's okay. I guess we got through it. Anyway, This isn't D&D, says ML. That's true. It's not. You know, sometimes I do talk about politics occasionally. Yeah, man, it's just, it's nuts. Grumble says, water management in California is a wild rabbit hole. Ain't that the fucking truth? Udi, so the Delta thing Wobbly talked about is to keep brackish water from entering into the Delta. Need to maintain a consistent flow to the seawater so the seawater doesn't flood inland. Yeah, okay, I understand that. I did used to live in Biloxi, which Biloxi Bay is all brackish, and it kind of empties out into the Gulf of Mexico. But I don't know, there's a natural river feeding the bay from one end, and then the other end of it emptied out into the ocean. So if you went up that river enough, you'd start to find, you know, freshwater fish. And we caught, you know, a mess of catfish right out of the bay. So they don't seem to mind the brackish water. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Maui fire, people still having issues too. Shit, I didn't even know there was a fire in Maui. Got mismanagement of fires all over the damn place, apparently. All right, puppies. People need to get that shit together. I mean, that's one of the very basic responsibilities of a state and a city and municipality government is to maintain a police force, maintain, you know, ambulance services and hospitals, and to maintain a fire department that's effective at controlling fires, whether they're wildfires or unnaturally caused fires or arson or whatever. All of that is within the purview of the responsibility of, you know, public first responders, which are provided and funded and managed and mandated by the state. So for Gavin Newsom to sit there and say it wasn't their responsibility is just laughable. I hope they rake him over the coals. Sue his ass for $1 billion fucking dollars like they did Alex Jones. Alex Jones never did anything to ruin somebody's life or have their house burned down. He just said a bunch of crazy shit on the fucking internet. He sued his ass for $1 billion fucking dollars. Gavin Newsom, on the other hand, burns down whole neighborhoods across California and claims he's not even the least bit responsible. Shit is insane to me, man. Fucking insane. Here we had this. I believe these are the crown jewels of the Emperor of Japan. I think they keep it as like a ceremonial thing. Trump's like, yeah, that looks pretty good to me, man. That looks pretty good to me. we need one of those in my White House. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh, but I don't know about this. I don't know about this Trump third term business, man. I'm gonna be honest with you about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Let me see what I can find of Steve Bannon talking about that. We'll wrap the show up with a little bit of that. So, yeah, it's been kind of nuts. Yeah, this is it. Okay. A short interview, but I don't want to sit and watch the whole damn thing. Just grab a couple of little clips out of it. I don't care about that. I did want to try to review this, but the last time that I played anything from Tucker Carlson on the channel, it got copyright struck. So I'll tell you what, I'll link this. Nick Fuentes was on Tucker Carlson, and surprise, surprise, he's not some crazy little evil gremlin. But, okay. Let's take a look at this.
And welcome to The Insider.
I'm honored to be part of one of the first ones I guess you're doing early on.
Absolutely.
Last time I tangled with you was the 175th.
Indeed, you remember well.
In New York City, I think we kicked it off.
That's right, but we're not going to tangle this time. Because this time, one of the things we want to do with this show is that we want to have conversations with people who disagree with or have a different worldview than we do.
No, they.
Okay, let's just skip to here.
Third term. So Trump 28. Trump is going to be that.
Back up a little.
Very moment that if you didn't have populist nationalism stopped the managed decline of the country by the elites of the nation.
And does he need a third term in order to see that job through?
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28. Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is. But there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have.
That's a bold claim, okay, that we have longer odds in 28. Because it's not 2028 yet. We're still 3 years out. We haven't even gotten through the first year of the presidency yet. And he's already talking about, you know, upturning one of the oldest institutions in American history, right? Traditions, I should say, not institutions, but the tradition that since Washington, like hardly anybody except for FDR has taken more than 2 terms. I'm pretty sure FDR is the only one. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy about that, but
to finish what we started. And the way we finish it through Trump. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least 1 more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm really I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me in the last few minutes. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his 2nd term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through, Zanny, and define all those terms.
But even if you find a way to undermine you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it. And to those
Can the American people, if the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's what it sounds like.
Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I guess that's why
it
seems to me some kind of tension
First
there.
off, the only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people. Okay? And the will.
Well, I mean, for me, this is pretty well obvious. Says no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. There you go. It goes in some particulars about somebody who's served a partial term and this, that, and the other thing, but yeah, I mean, you have to repeal this. You have to repeal this. That's the only way. That's the only way to deal with it, as far as I know. But I have no idea what he has up his sleeve. He's being very non-specific about it.
The will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies, and so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started, and President Trump is the instrument, a providential instrument to finish this job.
A few minutes ago, you talked about populist nationalists and populist internationalists. Globalists, forgive me.
Internationalist, too refined a term.
You were something of a populist globalist when you spent a lot of time in Europe building.
Not a populist globalist at all. It was all national. No, I didn't say we're not. It's not about us having engagement. Look, we're a nation in the world. We're not isolationist. I've never said that. I'm a non-interventionist. I don't want to be in the bloodlands in Ukraine. I don't think the country share, or in the Middle East. It's a sideshow. I'm all for direct engagement with the Chinese Communist Party because we see what they're trying to do. Now, I'd like not to send troops there because there's other ways we can do that without putting people, but no, the European project, because remember, in this very room is where Nigel Farage first talked about Brexit. Before it even became a thing, we had a gathering of the beginning of the MAGA movement. This isn't like in 12, 13, 14. Nigel would come over and we'd host these huge dinners for you, and Nigel would stand up and give these talks about getting Britain's sovereignty back. And we had all the populist little, the Alternative for Deutschland and the Salvini group, the Northern, with the Alliance, and people in Vox, all these different people would come. But because we saw they were all fighting a common fight.
So give me a kind of scorecard, just going around Italy, France, Germany, Britain, of where these parties lie. Will Farage be a prime minister next?
Of course he'll be prime minister. I mean, look, you have two parties that are, the Tory party is 250 years old or older. If you take Labour and Tories right now, the Reform Party is bigger than both. I think it's at 36%, of those two are at 35%. Of course he's going to be the next prime minister.
And in France?
If you had France is going to be, it's going to be Front National or Front, certainly will be, and I hope it will be Le Pen and not the younger guy. Alternative for Deutschland. If you think I'm enthusiastic about what we've accomplished here, I'm really enthusiastic about what those people have accomplished, because as hard as our fight was, they had state media suppress them. They had because it's much more concentration of power and wealth over there, they had everybody fight them. And look at everywhere from Hungary to Poland to Germany to Italy to Vox in Spain. Everywhere we're getting momentum. It's not perfect. I told people at the time, you're not going to win everything. It's a process. Just
yeah, I mean, some a lot of people weren't inherently aware of is how much Steve Bannon actually contributed to Nigel Farage and trying to push for more conservative movements across Europe. So he's a cultured international man. That's I think that's fair to say.
Look at the critical path. Look at the event horizon. Keep your heads down and remember, you're not alone, and you're anti-fragile. As long as you don't quit, they will surrender. As long as you just keep pounding, and look at Farage. Look what he's done over his career to do this. I mean, he's brought British sovereignty back, and now he's going to be the prime minister one day. Now, Nigel's come our way. Nigel forever would never talk about mass deportations. He's now talking about that. I think we're actually helping drive some of those people to the part of the right that you actually need to be to fix the problems. This is the age of Trump, and we have to get all the squeeze out of the lemon. This is why 28 is so important. We have to finish what we started, because Trump knew in 21 that they were going to try to bankrupt him, they're going to try to destroy his family, they're going to try to put him in jail, and they're going to try to assassinate him. I would talk to him about this. He understood that.
Twice. They did it twice.
Moral courage than any political person we've had, I believe, since Abraham Lincoln. If you look at Trump over the arc of history, what he's accomplished.
Well, to be fair, Abraham Lincoln didn't really have a whole lot of moral courage. The Emancipation Proclamation didn't come until the middle of the Civil War. It wasn't really the sticking point that started the thing. It was more the South wanted to secede, and he had to fucking do something about that. When the war wasn't going their way, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation in the middle of the war. But during that whole thing, he suspended habeas corpus. He locked up a bunch of journalists. He locked up politicians that were moderately favorable to the South, all over the place, all the time. So this is I would consider him to be like some sort of arbiter of morality.
And what he's been able to lead us to, I mean, he's equivalent of Moses. I mean, he has led our people back.
That's just fucking ridiculous right there. He's not fucking Moses. Okay, he's the president we needed when we needed him the most, and he's been fantastic. Okay, but at best, one of the greatest political leaders of my lifetime. But I wouldn't call him fucking Moses.
Right now, to
crying out loud,
promised land, to make sure that we're very close to actually redoing this, making the changes that have to be made to save our country and to return America to her greatness, make America great again.
So I don't know about you, Ed, but I think I don't agree with a lot of what you've said, but I have a much better understanding of what it is you're trying to do.
You saw the smile on your face. He's a fucking propagandist, that's what he is. ML says Bannon is nuts. He's not nuts. He knows exactly what he's fucking saying, and what he's not saying. He's being very choosy with his words. So, I'll tell you that. Oh shit. Yeah, man. Let's do one more thing for a little bit of levity, and then I'll tell you what. I did not get a chance to actually see the debate yesterday, so I think that's what I want to focus on instead of the Tucker Carlson Nick Fuentes interview. I'd love to cover that, but I'm gonna get struck. I know I am, because I've done it before. So let me go find that MDD debate, and then we'll have a little bit of levity in the meantime.
All right, Zorhan. The debate went.
This is Freedom Tunes. Seamus is fucking awesome, dude. I love Seamus a whole lot. Yeah, you haven't checked out Freedom Tunes, definitely check him out. Based ass cartoons, fucking awesome. And they're working on. Well, I'm sure he'll say something about it at the end. I'll let the ad play at the end. Okay.
Really well for us, but if you want to continue to appear relatable, you need to.
Me to what?
The way you're.
So this is in response to something Mom Donnie said about the Indian, I don't know, tradition, I guess, of eating like plates of rice with their bare hands. Rice and what's that stuff with the tofu and the curry, right? They eat curry with their bare hands too. It's a little weird. Why don't you use some kind of utensil? I don't know, but you're saying this to the same people that, you know, fucking shit in the street and have the worst litter management problem in the world. But okay, anyway.
Eating that. Don't do that.
Oh, what? You've never eaten pizza?
Oh, so I guess it's only weird when foreigners eat Italian food with their hands.
Right, and when Mom Donnie tried to justify this, every fucking left winger on fucking X started coming out with these ridiculously stupid arguments like, well, what about pizza? What about hot dogs? I was like, well, yeah, that stuff is kind of designed to be eaten with your hands, okay? Like rice and gumbo and curry, you gotta have a spoon, bro. Come on. Like you little freaking twats probably don't even have the stomach to try to stick your hand in a plate of spaghetti. So don't give me that bullshit.
Hands. This is different.
Or what about French fries? This is just like if he was eating French fries, racist!
Yeah, you've never had French fries before?
Not like that, no.
We're getting distracted. Let's stick to the issues.
Sure, yeah. So, we need to figure out how to make sure your campaign is... Zorhan!
Make sure my campaign is what? Oh, where are my manners? I didn't offer you any.
No, thank you.
I'll have some.
Okay, man, this is a little much.
Oh, but you've eaten pizza?
You've had a hot dog?
This is just like if he was eating a hot dog.
No, because he's eating that hot dog normally.
Oh.
With your hands, where there's a dry part for you to grip, is not the same as getting gross, wet food all over your fingers and shoveling it into your face in front of people. It's disgusting. Why are we pretending that this isn't true?
You racist.
You ruined dessert.
The left dominates entertainment media, and we're pushing back by making a new full-length animated show. Our crowdfunding campaign to finance season 1 is halfway done. We've got 3 weeks to raise the rest of what we need. Go to twistedplots.com and donate today to help us win the culture war. We've got the track record, the team, and the experience. Give us your support, and we will be unstoppable.
Hell yeah. I'm looking forward to that, man. That looks like it's going to be a fun show. You know, if you want to support, I would totally be down for that. So that's about all I got for now with the stuff that I wanted to line up and talk about. But like I say, I missed this debate last night, so I wanted to check this out, and I'm pretty sure Rob will not mind. So let me see if I can offer some genuine analysis, at least on our opening statements here. All right.
Do you guys mind if I'm streaming this now? You guys mind? You're not on. Okay.
But I'm about to stream when I hit this go live button.
I was gonna say you didn't warn
streaming
anybody.
now.
You inconsiderate cur.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that Grid up here is based as fuck. I love that guy. He's awesome. He does a Friday panel show sometimes, and I won it one time. It was really cool. And I've been on several times since. It's fun. He does this weird judging thing though, where he has these predetermined judges, and I think one of them doesn't like me, but that's okay. It's whatever. A pirate podcast, just stopping by and giving a like and showing support. Good to see you. Thanks, man. Good to see you too. But anyway, I did see the end of this, okay? And these two little spurgoids are insufferable. I'm going to warn you about that. It's really bad. But I'm hoping, at least in opening statements, everything was cordial. I don't know. Like I say, I missed the beginning of this. So, also, this is not James. This guy's name is Ryan. And he is not the guy who owns Modern Day Debate. He is a stand-in moderator. And he has been for a long time. He did a very piss poor job during the part of the debate that I saw in moderating. So he was distracted. He was on the phone. He wasn't paying attention. He didn't have his headphones in to even hear what was going on. In the middle of the debate, he'd lose his internet. Everything goes down. And then everybody's kind of sitting around twiddling their thumbs for 10 minutes while he figures that out and gets it back up and running. It was a shit show. Grumple says Anson doesn't like anyone. Well, that's fair. That is who I'm talking about. Anyway. Yeah, let's see what happens here.
Just picking. All right, I've almost got you guys.
Yeah, so then I said to the nun, right, put the donkey down.
Hey, my audience, am I echoing? And can you guys
I'm
hear
echoing as well. Let me see if I can't fix that. Let me.
You're not echoing on my end.
Good,
which
good,
is
good.
Where...
And you're not echoing on my end.
Yeah, that's where the debate's going
I
to be
want to echo
heard.
for Craig and Max and no one else. That way,
No,
they're
okay,
confused.
Let's get this sorted at the beginning. My name is not Craig. Craig.
Craig. Yeah.
Yes, there we go. It is not spelled K-R-E-G.
No. Listen, man, I'm a redneck from Pittsburgh. I'm a Yinzer. Like, you're lucky that you could even understand the dialect here. You know, I'm trying my best.
Well, I speak yokel. It's fine.
Yep. Well,
He speaks
good luck.
Iroquois.
You'll need it. You know.
The fucking virtue signaling just immediately starts. Are you kidding me?
Are you guys good to
Understanding
go
my
by your
yokel
full
isms.
names on
To
screen
my
here?
audience, is this better?
Holy
It
shit,
sounds like
Greg,
mine.
you're like really dressed up. I feel like, oh fuck.
I didn't think it was real.
What's going on?
All dressed up and smoking a
I see you've
bomb
got some
from-
guns on the back there because these are the only guns I need.
Oh.
Yeah.
You should invest in hardware.
Why? That's for wimps.
Keep that
Said
hubris.
no
up.
Oh, man.
You're gonna need it.
I was gonna say I have a feeling you
Oh,
don't
man.
country where you're at, do you, Craig?
I'm in Scotland.
Craig.
Craig.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
Craig. That becomes a fucking meme throughout the whole fucking night, too. They were still making fun of him by the end of it.
just a big loud firecracker to scare off bears if you need to. That's living in the boonies. How's it going, Max?
I'm doing awesome.
Awesome.
It turns out Max is actually a moderator in the text chat for MDD, too. So that helps to explain some of the shit that goes on later on.
There you go. That guy at the Olympics.
I don't need to practice.
coming
I'm
out
just
just-
naturally skilled.
But I didn't say hey to the one who walks through fire. He's hanging out in the chat. That's good shit. It's good to see you, Fire.
That's very good. Hey, Max,
Just,
it's nice to meet you, sir.
It's quite ironic that I'm debating like right wingers and there's just guns there. You know.
That's who we are.
Yes.
You know,
Like,
Yes,
have you
also yes.
have you never seen that happen before? There's tons of right wingers that do that.
We've had Destiny a few times. There's a couple other people. that
Fucking Destiny does that. He's not a fucking right winger.
had some weaponry at some point, but nonetheless, yeah, welcome to y'all. I'm gonna get the stream started up in just 1 second here. I just want to check in with you, of course, to see who wants to go first in the exchange. I can flip a coin if you guys both. You gotta both have your own cross to bear tonight. So,
What
To
is
be clear,
the
the prompt is what's more violent politically, left or right in the USA. That's what James confirmed.
Yes.
So yeah,
that
so
is
we're
gonna be the main
both.
focus.
There's no real affirmative. One's we're picking the left's more violent, so you guys are picking the right. So I really don't care. Whatever you guys are cool with, we're cool with as a side, I assume, Grid. And I don't give a shit if I speak first.
If you
or
don't care,
second on my
Robert,
side.
then I'm gonna call on you to go first.
Okay. You want me to go first, Grid, on our side, or you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I asked which one, and you said that was which one.
You can go. I'll follow your lead. That's
you got
totally
it.
fine.
No problem. Okay.
All right, glad we got that.
What is the
sorted out.
format? Is it just standard openers, back and forth, answer questions?
Basically, yeah, we're going to be doing standard format. You have up to 12 minutes per side, so 6 minutes per person. We're not going to do Passover time, so 6 minutes per speaker max.
Ooh, 6. Yeah, I can do that in 6.
Will you give us a sign when we're close to the end, just so I know to wrap it up?
Right when you
set
get to the
timer.
6 minute mark, I'm just going to jump in and be like, shut the... No.
You're out, buddy! If you
You're
go 1
done.
second over, you're gone. We're booting you from the panel. All right.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm just kidding. Of course. No, I usually let people know within like either a minute or 30 seconds away. It just depends on when I can jump in on the flow, because I don't want to jump in right when you're talking, and sometimes people can just keep compounding their sentences. So
Someone there from Pittsburgh, apparently. Someone in my chat says, "Fuck you, I'm from Cleveland, and they're better."
Oh, their river caught on fire one time. That's how shitty Cleveland is. Don't even get me started.
Superman came from Cleveland. Shut your fucking mouth.
He came from Krypton. Jeez. Anyways,
so
are we doing
Not
closing
really.
statements as well? I didn't see what the format was for closing statements.
yeah, closing statements. I just do a minute at the end of super chats.
Gotcha.
So sometimes, especially if the conversation gets kind of stagnated, if we hit a wall, then we will rely on our
I'll
audience.
keep it
to-
interesting. Don't worry.
We'll rely on the audience to help steer us a little bit, but
Yeah, like I say, I don't think it behooves me to go through the whole debate, but because it'll take a long time. I'm gonna pause and kind of sort of analyze what the arguments are being made here and there. But we'll go over the opening statements. And here's a link if you guys want to see it. I'll post that link over in Kick as well. Yeah. But I did not go to Rumble today. Hey, I don't know. I'm having a hard time getting an audience on Rumble, so I don't know what to do about that.
generally, we'll have the opening
Other than have like a
statements will
Rumble
go for
exclusive
about,
stream. Maybe I could do that.
Anywhere from 60 minutes, sometimes an hour and a half. And then the super chats we do want to get into, because if we're already getting into like an hour and a half of open discussion, then those super chats are going to take some time as well. I'll try to let you guys breathe if that's what you want to do.
I'm in no hurry, so however you guys do, it's fine by me. So
Awesome. I was gonna say it's yeah, what is it, Monday night?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. See, this is musician's life. We can't keep track of what day it is.
It's Wednesday.
ML says I don't see any clips or shorts. What do you mean?
No, that's because he's in some.
Black Elk. It'll take Black Elk a day or two before he makes a few, but he'll trust me. He'll have a ball with us.
bullshit area of the world no one cares about. In the United States, it's
you
Tuesday.
mean the place where we have Greenwich Mean Time? You know, the actual place where time is based from.
Are you
Yes.
allowed to speak English now, or are you supposed to be praising Allah or something?
My guys. We're gonna go there, are we?
I'm sorry. What was that, Grid?
I was just saying I just needed to do one last mic check for my guys.
Oh.
So.
Well, that's true. Yes, I don't have any clips or shorts. I need to get on that. If I can do something in the YouTube editor to make that work, that would be really helpful. Because I'm not sure how to get that format quite right. But and they're only supposed to be like 2 minutes long, right? So that's another thing. But I think I can go through the YouTube editor and clip out bits and pieces and turn those into shorts if I want. Shorts get more views than videos on YouTube. Yeah, I know. There's the threshold for actually monetization on shorts is ridiculous, dude. You need like 3 million watch hours or some shit.
Check. Hello, Grid's audience. How are you?
They can hear you. They can't hear me for some reason.
Oh, Grid is such a boomer with this shit.
StreamYard, Grid, just so you know,
He needs a technical producer.
on my StreamYard, in addition to then sharing the audio from the Zoom call.
Yeah, when I do that, I have echo.
Do none of you know what virtual cables are?
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
Yeah, none of us use.
Why do you not
LinkedIn for
use
this
virtual
shit.
cables?
Well, here in
Because
America,
I
we
don't
have
use
things like
LinkedIn for this.
StreamYard instead of
We have
Zoom.
real
I don't know what's
software.
going on in Scotland.
Well, real software. I use vMix, which is what TVs use, but for routing audio through multiple places, you use virtual cables.
They give you one of those
That-
with your kilt. When you,
Virtual cables, my friend. You download virtual cables.
I love this. The fucking indignation just starts immediately. This guy has been an asshat from the fucking start of it, and he's an asshat until the end. He's a fucking... Oh, man. Calling these two insufferable is kind. Yeah, Rob said that earlier.
I am aware.
Same thing.
I'm aware, but the problem is, or not the problem. StreamYard basically does that on its own.
Yeah, I don't.
No, StreamYard does not do that on its
Sure
own.
it does.
StreamYard is one audio file.
But I'm
Good Lord.
using my microphone through StreamYard and through Zoom simultaneously without a
I
virtual
mean,
cable.
StreamYard is what, is really awful software anyway. I don't know why you would use that.
Well, we'll see. How about this? Whoever wins this debate, their software is better. How
This
about
isn't
that?
a debate. The numbers don't lie. I've literally no idea how you're going to frame. what
Keep
you
that
say
confidence
in
up,
one
sir.
way.
There
That's
you
ridiculous.
go. Keep it up. It'll make
All
this
right,
all
I don't
this
wanna-
sweeter.
Literally doesn't. It literally doesn't matter what you guys say because the numbers say that you're wrong.
Setting you to one... Oh.
You know better.
Yeah,
than-
I should do that.
Confidence
I can
we
do that.
like. Let's do it.
That's what we need to see, actually.
I mean, I know you guys are just going to have rhetoric and nothing else. It really doesn't matter.
All right, well, let's see how this all goes.
Well, I know you're wrong, so there you go.
Let's all just try to have
Wanna
some
place
fun.
a bet?
Hold on. We'll place a bet when we get in there. No bets. Why do you always try to do this? Not while I'm streaming. All right, and also, I just got to check. Craig, on your side. Craig. Would you like to go first or would you like to go second? What's going on? Max, what do you want?
I'll go first on our side.
Excellent. All right, glad we got that sorted out.
Yeah, that's right.
I was giving him some seniority just because, he's been on here quite a bit. And he's usually
Max is the goat.
Max is the goat. Thanks for being here, Max. And look at
No
you
one has a
watch
shiny
out.
bald head like Max.
Yeah,
I'm close.
That's one way to put it. All right, I'm gonna get over.
Hey guys, seriously, it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So thanks for doing this.
All right, so we're gonna start with you.
You can't set me to 1.75.
All right, I'm just gonna place the two of you guys on mute. Actually, you're starting us off there, Robert. Right? So I'll just place the three of you guys on mute. Does anybody need a screen share? Just put your hands up. Okay, Max is doing screen share. Good. Okay, just
I'll at least try to burn
get
through
over to the main screen.
all of
and
the
we're gonna
fucking
start
figuring shit out part.
Oh, this over here. Awesome. Well, let's look on over. Ooh, I'm gonna have to adjust these screens. Looks like I have not done my due diligence. So we're just gonna move over like this and say, welcome to Modern Day Debate. I'm your host, Ryan. Tonight we're gonna be having a debate on is the left more violent than the right? So if you get a little bit of a kick out of these debates, definitely hit the like button as I fill up, grab yourself a drink. It's gonna be a good one, guys. Yeah, let's head it on over to the for the arguments for the left is more violent. And to start us off, we have Robert Newer. Should have checked in on the pronunciation of your last name there first, but welcome to Modern Day Debates. Pleasure to have you here. And when you're ready, the floor is all yours.
It's nor like the conjunction, but thank you so much for moderating for us. Thank you so much, my opponents, Craig and Max, and thank you to my incomparable partner, Grid. I really appreciate it. We will be on the side of the left is more violent. Now, unfortunately, the prompt is written as such that we have been told that this is unique to the United States, so we'll stay there. And the way the prompt's lifting, is the left more violent than the right? The answer is objectively yes. If we look at the pattern, even though stats aren't kept as such, if we look at the people that are most likely to be left-wing or vote for the Democratic Party, overwhelmingly there is more violence, such as violent crime that comes from that side of the ledger. So, for example, we could see that African Americans overwhelmingly vote for the Democratic Party and embrace the side of the left. And overwhelmingly, they commit more violent crime than people of other backgrounds. We could also see.
I don't know if I would have started there or not. Maybe that's bait, rage bait or whatever, but it's too easy for fucking lefties to try to lean on this and call you out to be some kind of fucking racist or a piece of shit for trying to point that out and feigning, fucking outrage because Rob is stating legitimately, objective facts. But like I say, it's probably
tend
bait.
to commit more crime. Those would be left as well that tend to vote Democrat. However, I'll do our opponents one good and say we're talking about political violence, baby, not just violence in general. And so the question will be.
So that's great. He mentioned this before the debate, is that the prompt doesn't actually specify political violence. So he's trying to frame the argument into political violence specifically, and that does not go very well for the opponents. They have very little to support the idea that the right is responsible for more political violence. In fact, one of the examples that they come up with later on in the debate, which I'm probably not going to get to, is ICE. Black bagging some lady, right? I mentioned that under ICE, and it was during Biden's administration. It wasn't even, you can't even skew that as right-wing violence, quote unquote. That's literally under a left-wing administration. So.
Who commits
Self-owned.
more violence in the name of culture or politics? And I think that that's easily going to be the left. Now, the truth is, all of us know it. The moderator knows it. My partner knows it. Our opponents know it. And everyone in the audience knows it. We know that when it comes to political violence, that the left uses violence and intimidation in order to achieve political and cultural ends far more than the right does. Now, the truth is, any politician, any political ideology is going to have fringe lunatics. And certainly the left has their share of that. But I would be lying if I said the right doesn't, the center doesn't, milquetoast politicians don't. Of course, they all do. The problem is that it's become
So that's important right there, because he's making his concessions up front. So he knows where they're going to go with the debate, and then he's saying, yes, these are very obvious truths. Of course, there are violent people on the right. Of course, there are people who are violent in the center. Of course, there are people who are violent on the left. The question is a matter of quantity, right? And overwhelmingly, especially in recent history, it's been all lefties. How many shootings have been some trans activists, or the weirdo that killed Charlie Kirk, or going on down the line, all of the incidents of some kind of mass shooting that have occurred recently, to my mind, have been left wingers. But and I'm talking like in the past 5 to 10 years, not just during the past 6 months or whatever. But
ubiquitous on the left. Now, what our opponents are going to do is read a bunch of studies. They're going to be sourced from two things. One's going to be the CSIS report, the CSIS. The other, I forget the name of the report that it comes from, but these studies are horseshit, as we'll get into and be able to look at the way that they keep these metrics. They're done in a biased way, and they're kept from biased statistics.
100%. This is why my study, bro, is always a fucking terrible argument to have in the first place. So many studies are skewed. It's very easy to disprove or dismiss them because of how statistical scientists do this shit. They start with a conclusion and then they skew data and results in order to support that conclusion. Excuse me, I got heartburn for some reason.
The problem with these studies are going to be, one, the people that are doing it are coming from academia. One of the ones, I forget which one it is, I think it's the CSIS, is someone who calls himself an Antifa historian, who's actually someone who just works with Antifa groups. And you'll be able to see as we go through it that there are glaring omissions from obvious left-wing violence that we all know that isn't kept there. There's also things that are put in there included in right-wing violence that are absolute garbage. And as soon as you start to interrogate and look at the numbers, you see that they're BS. However,
another good thing about bringing this up is, again, Rob has accurately predicted the opponent's tactics and is preemptively striking, preemptively stalwarting against that and trying to tear it down. You can see it on his face right now. He's like, shit, what am I going to do? I'm just going to have to spurg out and be a complete dickhead this whole debate because all my arguments are trash and they're all being torn apart right before my very eyes.
Or even if these people weren't biased that are keeping the statistics or interpreting them in these studies, the truth is that law enforcement itself is biased. So, for example, if we see something like the Black Lives Matter riots that had almost no one arrested in them, the only way that they're able to keep these studies is to evaluate the people that were arrested for these crimes. So despite the fact that we can see left-wing violence causing billions upon billions of dollars of damage, dozens upon dozens of people that were killed during these left-wing violence, due to the fact that almost no one was arrested, it's not going to show up even if we just looked at law enforcement numbers. Let alone the people that are compiling these studies choose to not include many of those examples when they're evaluating left versus right-wing violence. However, even if we take CSIS, the problem is these very studies are now saying in the current year, which is what we should be looking at, actually left-wing violence is outpacing right-wing violence, as an article from The Atlantic citing CSIS actually proves. So when we're talking about recent, as in like the last 10 years, since the advent of Donald Trump being the leader of the Republican Party, it is undoubtable that the left has committed violence. I'll give 3 ways as why that's important. When we're talking about political violence, what we're talking about is it's uniquely bad because it's using violence and intimidation to try to change the direction of our country through culture and politics. That's what makes it uniquely heinous and something worth evaluating more than, say, a simple mugging that goes wrong. And we can see the left oftentimes resorts to these sorts of violent actions. The first thing that I'll say is
So, okay, he goes so fast sometimes, but so now he's bulwarking the redefinition of the argument, reframing the argument into political violence, and saying that this is particularly heinous because it affects the country and whatnot. So, he's very good at this. I don't know, man. It seems like he's reading from some prepared statement, and there may be a little bit of that, but I think a lot of this is just how his mind sort of collates information and argumentation, right? He's been doing it for so long. So it's fucking amazing to see the masterwork, I'll tell you that. And try to sit and analyze it.
The amount of violence that occurs, they'll be able to know in two political riots that were left-wing or right-wing, they'll say Charlottesville and January 6th. And you want to know how they know those two? Because that's basically it. It just doesn't happen.
Yep.
Sure, there's fringe right-wingers that commit murders. There's fringe left-wingers that commit murders as well, which we can get into. But when it comes to political violence in general, I could name hundreds upon hundreds of just the last 8 years left-wing political violence. Portland, night after night. Seattle, night after night. Atlanta, night
ongoing,
after night.
presently.
Night after
Yeah.
night. New York. All of these places, Kenosha, we see these violence. We see them for Black Lives Matter. We see the Chaz Zone. We see them riding against ICE over and over and over. Every time they don't get their way, they engage in acts of violence. The second thing that we'll talk about is the acceptance, ignoring, or otherwise celebration of the violence. When right-wing violence occurs, almost every politician and media professional that tends to lean right almost universally condemns it, with very few exceptions.
That's a very good point. However, on the left, that does not happen. I'm sure he's about to get into that. But one thing I wanted to point out is it doesn't seem that either one of these guys are really paying attention. This little asshat, Max, just added some, I don't know what the symbol is to his little background. Let's see if we can read it. It probably violates some kind of toss, if I had to guess. But team mate Politico, and this looks like a cyclops and like a fruity drink and a coconut. I don't fucking know. Okay, whatever. This other guy is apparently watching his own chat and self-absorbed in his own dealy bob, which is a grave mistake. You need to be listening to the opening statements, because the best way to respond to an opening statement is to tear it apart point by point by point in your own opening statement. Right? And then you drive the conversation where your opponent is on the back foot trying to defend everything that they just said. You're coming in and being the aggressor instead. They're not going to do that because they're not paying attention in the first fucking place.
However, the left wing, we're told, even as fires rage in the background, it's mostly peaceful. When we see left-wing violence occur, like the assassination of Charlie Kirk, what do we see? Tens of thousands of left-wingers take to the internet in order to celebrate it. We know that this is the case. We know that when places are boarding up their businesses on election night, they're not worried that Trump supporters are going to loot and riot. They're worried, just like in 2016, that it will be the left once more that does it. We see these things all the time, and the media gaslights us, and the Democratic politicians gaslight us, and they tell us that it's mostly peaceful, or they tell us that it's the language of the unheard, or they tell us that it's somehow
fucking blowing smoke up our ass.
We see the people that take to celebrate it. We see the fact that people will go out and not only say that someone like Charlie Kirk deserved it and make fun of him, but even mainstream outlets like the New York Times make excuses for why Charlie Kirk had it coming. The day after the Charlie Kirk assassination, the New York Times put an article out saying that Charlie Kirk said fascist things on his podcast. They were forced the day after to issue a retraction. Yes, he did say those things. However, he was quoting someone else and then arguing against it. This was in a world where one of the bullets had written on it that was aimed at Charlie Kirk.
God, it goes so fast. Okay, so he made a claim and then he backed it up with evidence of the claim. New York Times article, the retraction. Yada. And that's something you're not going to see either one of these two guys do either, right? They don't have any evidence for their fucking claims. They don't expect to be called on having evidence for their claims. And in fact, they're surprised by it later on in the debate. So, and they have to struggle and Google some shit really quick and say, here you go, here's a video. It turns out that video doesn't even support what their claim was. So, very poorly prepared fucking trolls and asshats. Ferrier says, notes are king. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? I always keep a notepad up. So, I used to use this for coding, but now it's just for, and it didn't load my files. Why didn't you load the files? Oh, it's because it's already open. I had it open from before. That's a new instance. Okay, my bad. There you go. Oh, and we don't need that. Yeah, no, that goes away. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, these are where I get all of my cool bot messages, right? And whenever I'm doing like a new a debate, you know, I'll just write down, you know, whatever the person's name was. What did he say his name is? Craig, right? And you know, point one, and I'll summarize it. You know, so for instance, if we were doing Rob right here, what I would do is I would say, Rob, reference, you know, leftists celebrate Kirk death, New York Times article, retraction, you know, then the Groyper, right, messages on the bullets. And then when I go through and I make my opening statement, I'll reference the list and I'll address each one of these things, or as many as I think are important. I might highlight one, you know, set it aside, and then move on with the list as we go, that kind of thing. So, and then when we get to the next person, I do a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and then next person, right? Whatever. Craig. Craggle face. But yeah, you get the idea. So, yeah, and that's kind of all you got to do. And I find that doing that on the computer is faster for me than trying to handwrite it. I used to keep a notebook right next to me and do it that way, but you get lost. I get lost pretty quick trying to keep up with handwriting stuff. I don't have a particularly good shorthand methodology with my handwriting, so if I did, that might be actually better. But
catch this fascist.
Right. That was the messaging on the ammunition, but that might be better simply because my hand is going through the motions of writing the words out, so they stick in my memory harder, right? That's why I used to take notes by hand in college and in high school, was because it sort of embeds it in your mind a little bit better than typing it out or, you know, using a voice recorder. But okay, anyway.
World where one of the bullets had written on it that was aimed at Charlie Kirk, catch this fascist. We see repeatedly as these attacks occur that the Democrats keep up the same dehumanizing rhetoric that they themselves have used to gaslight their brown shirts that they knew would take it seriously. I'll be able to talk about incident after incident of left-wing violence. Maybe I'll get to at the end of my speech. The third thing, though, is even though it is far more common for these acts of left-wing violence to occur, we see that it's treated the exact opposite when it comes to law enforcement. Law enforcement looks for white supremacist boogeymen under every single blanket. They have the largest FBI task force in history that's going after blue-haired grandmas that didn't commit violence on January 6th. They're constantly drumming up things like the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping case because they need more boogeymen that they could go after. Meanwhile, they gaslight us that Antifa is just an idea and that there's nothing they'll be able to do about it. When we see dozens upon dozens of attacks on Tesla dealerships, on pro-life centers, etc., would Chris Wray say on those pro-life centers, most of these attacks happen in the evening, and so we're unable to find it. So
what leftists usually say against this type of argumentation is that it's gish galloping, quote unquote. It's not gish galloping. This is a litany of evidence supporting the premise, supporting the argument that Rob is trying to make, that this is example after example after example of the left being violent, and then alongside that, they're gaslighting us. They're lying to our faces, telling us that it's not happening. It's not happening. What are you talking about? That's bullshit. In order to try to justify it, right? So there's blatant justification and blatant violence all over the place and all over recent history since 2020 and even, you know, prior to that. But
despite the fact that the violence is overwhelmingly occurring more on the left, that it's celebrated, ignored, or cheered for by people in positions of power and in the average Democratic Party more on the left. And by the way, the studies back this up. It talks about how left-wingers are more likely to embrace violence. In fact, at one point, 58% of Democrats polled said that they thought that the murder of Donald Trump was somewhat justified.
And again, all of this is just more and more examples supporting the argument. Gish galloping would be making multiple different arguments, which he's doing. Okay, but it's opening statements. It's kind of expected in opening statements that you're going to go over like a broad arch of what you intend to argue, and that's why you're given a certain amount of time uninterrupted in order to do that. So, in the heat of the debate, it's usually a back and forth. It's an exchange, right? 1 point for 1 point, but that doesn't mean that providing a litany of evidence is changing the point or changing the argument. So leftists get confused about that because they like the buzzwords. Oh, you're gish galloping. Oh, you're poisoning the well. Oh, that's a Martin Bailey. Oh, straw man. You know, all of this shit. because they feel like making that point and saying that buzzword, pointing out the fallacy is somehow an argument in and of itself. It's not. You're blatantly trying to attack. It's a meta debate is what it is at that point. You're attacking the tactic that's being used instead of addressing the point, which is an utter lack of defense and an utter lack of attack, and it's completely irrelevant to actually what the debate should be. But that is assuming everybody is coming to the table in good faith, which, as I'm sure we will see imminently displayed, these two are not.
So all of these show that the violence on the left is far more common. We all know it, and I'll be happy to get into specific instances. I come up with like 20 off the top of my head in the past few years.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Robert. We're going to hand it over to Don for his opening statement as well. We do want to welcome everybody in our live chat to a Modern Day Debate. If you're wondering what this is all about, that's right, I brought the boot, everybody. I got other bad jokes. We are debating, is the left more violent than the right? And to start out, we have the speakers from the right side presenting their cases. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, boost us up in the algorithm. We're live right now, and I'm going to put a poll up after Don's opening statement. So Don, when you're ready, the floor is yours.
Smoking Spaceman says it's too much information for their brains. They can't reference their cultist lies to counter all the facts. That's exactly it. They realize they're backed into a corner and they don't have the evidence, they don't have the argumentation in order to stand up against what they're facing. So they immediately switch to ad homs or meta debate in order to try to dig their way out of the hole that they're in. But with Rob, no, you're in between a rock and a hard place and you're not getting out of it. So.
You're on mute there, Don.
It's hard for them to keep their lies straight when all they do is lie as a smoking spaceman. Ain't that the fucking truth?
Is my opening statement that good? He doesn't have to talk.
Sorry, I thought that you were going to unmute me. All right, so
I only have
man, it's hard to follow Rob, man. He hit basically all of the really good talking points there and basically laid out everything for you. I just want to say that I honestly don't understand why anyone would take this prompt, because for years we've watched cities burn, police cars overturned, storefronts smashed, only to be told by network anchors and people like our opponents here, while standing in front of the flames, that it's all mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful. The truth is simple. Violence from the left isn't just tolerated,
It may have behooved Grid to take notes as well and try to adjust his opening statement to that, but it's not necessary, and he knows it's not.
franchised out to organizations like.
But right now, so far, he is supporting at least 2 or 3 of Rob's arguments: the gaslighting and the absolute abundance of violence on the left.
BLM and Antifa, and there's a myriad of others. And there's that usually masked, they don't want people to know who they are. And, they wave a stupid flag around, stamped equity, and then clash with literally everyone where there's no equity at all. And politicians just sit there and wink and nod while the country.
Yeah, politicians actively supported it, man. Kamala Harris paid money to get people out of jail that were locked up over those fucking riots. So. Yeah, I don't want to. It's a lot more than weekend and nodding. Also, one of the things Antifa attacked was black-owned businesses. A black police officer died during the George Floyd riots because of their fucking antics. They don't even fucking care. Oh, Black Lives Matter, except for that one, not him.
And buildings, hard-earned incomes go up in flames and smolder and ruins. And this is wrong, obviously. Conservatives just don't riot when elections go wrong. We've seen that. Again, as Rob said, all they're going to be able to point to.
Well, that's a bit of a misstep because of Jan 6. That's exactly what they're going to hit that with.
Jan 6, which we can get, which we'll get into when that comes, and then maybe Charlottesville. Although that's it's going to be a tough one to go with there. But the left's riots when Starbucks runs out of milk. It's just crazy to even say that the left is not the party of violence. And so we should stop pretending that there's a moral equivalency even exists between protest and mayhem. One side believes the rule of law, the other thinks arson is free speech.
Yeah.
And moreover, just very simply, the left is supposedly the party of emotion and
love and acceptance.
Violence, by definition, is based in feelings. And so the right, the party of logic and reason, obviously, that's not us. That's not what we do. That's what you guys do. And you do it well. I will give you credit. I will give the left credit. They are very good at being violent and not taking responsibility for that violence. And that's all I really need to say, because Rob basically did my entire opening as well. That's great. And you guys have a tough act to follow. Hopefully you brought your bag.
Well, good. He looked like he wasn't paying attention. I guess he was listening in the very least. So, very good. Great fucking openings, honestly, from both of them. Grid's trolling a little bit. He's being a little bit of a showman. But, I'm going to tell you something. When Rob's your debate partner, it's best to just sort of let the bull loose and get the fuck out of the way. So I went up on a debate with Rob as a partner against Kami Points and Jebtan. And Rob was like, I don't know a whole lot about this Jebtan guy. I was like, don't worry about it. I got him. You handle Connor Points, I'll take care of Jebtan. And the whole night, all I did was just poke at Jebtan and get him to fucking spurg out. It's way too easy to do. So and he spent that whole fucking debate defending and then ad-homing. Defend, ad-hom. He didn't get a chance to make his points. So it may have been underhanded. You and I have some ethical qualms with that, I guess, but it worked. Because then the debate ended up focusing on the heavy hitters in the room, which was Counterpoints and Rob Noor. And Rob Noor absolutely fucking swept the floor with his ass, too. Again, as he always does.
All right, you guys got it. So thank you so much to Don and Robert for your introductory statement. We're going to hand it over to the other side. I want to remind our audience as well, if you like what you're hearing from any of our
shut up. So why do you do that in between every statement? There's 6 statements or 4 statements to get through. Let's
hand it over to
do that in between the teams.
Max. So one of our beloved moderators here at Modern Day Debate, but I'm not going to give you any favoritism there.
Okay, so he did admit that in the opening statement. I didn't realize that. We were trying to tell Rob that, hey, Max, the reason he's not fucking shutting Max down is because Max is on staff over there.
Max, not on the panel. I will mute you. No, you are on mute. Anyways, but yeah, thank you.
There we go.
And,
do you get my share?
Yes, we have.
Oh, okay. So this is the little symbol he added to his background, apparently. Yerba mate. He prepared a slideshow, everybody. All right. You got your note-taking materials ready? Let's do it.
You there.
All right. Is the left more violent than the right? The problem here is that we're going to have to define what the left is.
Perfect. Of course, that's exactly where you would want to start. Let's try and reshape the definition of language so that what you guys are talking about is irrelevant. Because I know you're fucking right, so I have to change what words mean in order to actually make an effective argument. This is what they always fucking do. I call this the Marxist redefinition of language. They've been doing it to us for 2 decades now, in the very least. Yeah, it's been going on a while.
The different types of violence. I'm going to touch on this idea that the U.S. media has of the radical left, and I was going to do some predictions, but we went second, so we're going to disregard that. So what is the left? As an actual leftist, I have voted the Communist Party in Uruguay since I am of legal age to vote. You don't have the left in the U.S. Sorry to tell you, but
so there's no such thing as left wing in the United States because I am an Uruguayan communist, and therefore I get to define what the left is and the left does not exist in the United States. How did I know it was going to go there? There's no such thing as the left. I mean, for fuck's sake.
What you call the left, they are way to the right of me. So there's a problem there. I have to do a big concession to basically participate in this debate because Biden and Harris, they're not the left, right? So I think it was important to define that. And then we're going to touch on some different types of violence.
No. That's not a definition, okay? That's a refutation of the actual debate prompt in the first fucking place. Because the debate prompt is limited to right and left in the United States, right? So in the first, I would almost consider that a concession of the debate itself. But here, I want you guys to be able to see this. There you go. So these are the notes that I'm taking. These are the notes that I would take if I was actually debating fucking Max here. And I haven't heard this yet, so this is the first time I'm hearing it. So different types of violence. So that's a pretty vapid argument, okay? He's a communist from Uruguay, and there's no such thing as left in the United States, right? Pretty fucking vapid. But now we move on to what is violence, ultimately. So redefine violence, right? What do you got?
That was conflated today. For example, petty crime, saying that it's made by poor people, and therefore that counts towards the left being. That is just wow. But we have direct violence as riots, revolts, coups, legislative violence, gerrymandering, political persecution, and other types of legislative pressure on.
Okay, so how is gerrymandering violence? Okay, that doesn't even make sense. That doesn't track. So again, Marxist redefinition of language. Of course it applies to a fucking communist. Of course it would. So he has to say that what violence is quote unquote direct violence. That way we can branch out and create these new concepts of legislative violence and political violence, and then we can call nepotism somehow fucking violent. Which is retarded. None of that makes any fucking sense at all. Right? None of that makes any sense at all. I'd probably have to fucking keep track of what he means by these things. Actual violence, okay? And then this is like laws that I don't like, okay? So what do you mean by political violence?
Political opponents. And then... few forms of political violence like free speech, persecution, nepotism, finger appointments, etc., etc.
Okay, so he's just kind of mulling over his own fucking notes here. That's pretty ridiculous. But free speech persecution is violence. How is that violence? Again, like this whole concept of trying to redefine what violence actually is it's bizarre and nonsensical. It's very easy to tear apart too, because you just toss it away. It's like, nah, legislative violence isn't violence. That's stupid. I dismiss your definition. That doesn't mean anything. Political violence isn't violence. Okay, that's a violation of free speech, but it's not violence in and of itself. So give me a fucking break.
Right now, we're seeing all of that.
What's up, Blood Logos? How you doing?
In the U.S. So it might not be the most egregious, but it's something that trickles down, because if you start eroding the democratic values of a country, then everything goes down really, really fast.
Okay, so he's equating violence to negative outcomes, right? That's a mistake, because violence is not just negative outcomes. All negative outcomes are violence by this definition. That means nothing. That means violence means nothing. Violence means striking out in ways that are damaging to people's personal property, people's personal bodies, that hurts them in a physical way. That's what fucking violence is. And the fact that you can't even agree on the most basic, simplistic terminology makes it incredibly, frustrating and difficult to actually have a conversation with these folks. It's ridiculous. All right.
And this idea, the president, Trump, talks all day about the radical left.
Did he say prescient or president? I'm not sure. Like, this accent is awful to try and get through.
And the radical left right now is marching and protesting in inflatable costumes, while the radical left, the actual radical left in 1969, they were taking a city in Uruguay, in Pando. They basically took over the whole city. So the terms are...
Okay. So he brings up this irrelevant comparison to, and are we supposed to be able to read this? This isn't English. That's either whatever, Portuguese or Spanish or whatever you're speaking. But first of all, there's that. Secondly, it happened in Uruguay. That's completely irrelevant to the United States. The scope of the debate is the United States, in the United States. Okay? And this protester in an inflatable costume, just because he's in a kitty-looking costume doesn't mean he can't assault a police officer or an ICE agent or throw a fucking Molotov cocktail and burn somebody's business down. So I don't understand. This is a completely irrelevant comparison, and it's hand-waving the violence of the ICE protesters and the people who are using these stupid tactics in order to make themselves seem harmless.
Are clearly very ill-defined, and we can talk about incidents in particular, but we could spend all night just trading one incident for another. I think it's a more productive conversation to talk about the systematic issues. Want to talk about violence.
Okay, so that's foreshadowing. So he wants to look at systemic issues, right? Doesn't even know English proper. But what that means is he's going to focus on this stuff and try to paint the right as being primarily responsible for legislative, political, and nepotism sorts of violence in the way that he fucking sees it. So giving away the plot right there, just a little bit. It's important to take notes about that kind of stuff, though, if you can, because that gives you an insight into where they're going to try to steer the conversation so that you can be better prepared for it when it happens.
In order to stop the spreading of communism, the U.S. sponsored through what was called the Condor Plan.
The what?
In the
Sponsored what? The Condor Plan?
Called the Condor Plan.
The Condor Plan. Hey, Emmett, maybe you can help me understand this guy's accent. I'm trying to figure out what he's saying right here.
The U.S. sponsored through what was called the Condor Plan.
The Condor Plan. I don't know. Okay, so Condor Plan, I guess.
In the countries of Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, and Brazil, counterterrorism and subversion.
Okay, so again, irrelevant. Political intervention in Central America. That's what we'll call it.
They were basically facilitating black flights to make people they didn't like disappear. So I don't know if you can provide any example.
Perfect. Thank you, Emmett.
As egregious as this, but I would certainly like to try. Well, these were my predictions. So
he would certainly like to try what?
Something as egregious as this. But
okay.
I don't know if you can provide any example of the left doing something as egregious as this.
Yeah, I can. They're doing that shit to us all over our country right now. I was just looking at stuff coming out of Joe Biden's FBI earlier today, where they were investigating a conservative think tank executive as well as a conservative podcaster, an executive at Turning Point USA, no less, who simply opposed the administration. The FBI was sicked on them because of their opinions and because of their rhetoric, which is a clear violation of freedom of speech and a clear misstep and overreach of the authority granted to, the Department of Justice and the FBI. So,
but I would certainly like to try. Well, these were my predictions. So what you call the left is not really the left. I thought it's just important to mention that Biden and Harris are no less capitalist.
He didn't want to go over his predictions. I wonder why not. Apparently they've been proven wrong already. So
than Trump. And unfortunately, in today's world, communist China is no less capitalist than the U.S.
Communist China is no less capitalist than the United States. Again, irrelevant. Okay, so that's something I can nail him to the wall with. Right.
What you call the left typically stand for human rights, democracy, and accountability. A lot of that is being eroded by the right now.
So he didn't go over this point. Biden and Harris are no less capitalist than Trump. So to him, so this is a problem with not agreeing on basic terminology. What is the left? What is the right? To him, the left is communist. The right is capitalist, right? So, okay, you completely misframed and misunderstood the prompt. Then, because what we're talking about is the political left in the United States and the political right in the United States. So, yeah, mystifying left and right as economic systems, right? That'll go in my notes.
Now, today in the U.S. And finally, I think it's worth mentioning the bold-faced pardoning of criminals. There's been a recent barrage of people serving crimes just because they were billionaires before, or they...
The bald-faced pardoning of criminals. Okay, well, apparently pardoning people as president is violence. So I'd make a note about that. And lest we forget, Biden pardoned how many people? Something like 4,000 people? Because he didn't like the laws that they were prosecuted under? And he wanted their vote next time around? So that's worse than what Trump did for the J6ers. The J6ers involved about 1,000 pardons. Because everybody who was in the building got arrested at some point. And they were locked up for 2 years without any form of retribution or hearing or court date at all. That shit is wrong. That's a huge failure of our legal system, and it is absolutely correct for Trump to pardon those folks, because they didn't. 90% of them didn't do nothing wrong in the first damn place. They were just walking around the Capitol building. It's supposed to be the people's house. The people who are agitating the police, the people who are vandalizing windows and doors and tearing shit up in Nancy Pelosi's office. All right, fine. They're trespassing and they're committing vandalism and graffiti or whatever. Prosecute them for that. But they didn't prosecute them for that. They prosecuted them for as close to quote unquote insurrection as they possibly fucking could. And they wanted to lock these people up for the rest of their fucking lives. That shit's insane. Meanwhile, lefty Antifa burns down fucking buildings and the DA refuses to prosecute in the first damn place. Just lets them run free and they do it again the next night. And it happens again the next night and again and again and again. They're fueling this. And this asshat from fucking Uruguay has the fucking gall to come in here and tell us that pardoning people is a form of violence in the first fucking place, and then that the right is more guilty of that than the left. Go fuck yourself. Full of shit. All right, that would have been my internal dialogue as he was saying this. None of that has to go in the notes.
They did financial crimes. It's all bullshit. So, I mean, right now we see it. We see the political violence that the right exercises on full display when Trump tries to get comedians off the air because they don't like their jokes about him and all that kind of stuff. So pretty sure we can get into more of that. Hashtag Max to event.
Oh, of course. And he wants to put his fucking hashtag out there and promo himself in his opening statement. Did you see Rob do that? Did you see Grid do that? No. You save that shit for after the debate. How fucking distasteful. But Emmett says, EOD, you mispronounced Southern Mexico. You're gay is not an actual country. Also, Emmett said, Max called everything race violence, by the way. You're right. Speech, actions, narratives, anything short of breathing. But he would absolutely take care of that if you disagree with him and he was in power. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean by take care of that. Fucking communist. You know what I have to say to that? Helicopter. Pinochet was based. So. Amigad says, also all saying that you're pardoning criminals kind of goes without saying that they have to be criminals to be pardoned. Right. Exactly. What else are you pardoning them for, right? Speaking of which, why did Joe Biden preemptively pardon everybody in his family? I wonder. Because they were all implicated in the fucking the scandal involving mismanagement of funding and shady shit going on behind the scenes with Hunter Biden and all of his little cronies. All this money getting passed around and tossed between family members. It would have, amounted to tax fraud at the end of the day, I think. Probably resulted in some hefty fines. But Trump wasn't trying to lock those people up in prison for the rest of their fucking lives.
Bacon 7, let's freaking go. And we are doing an after show on Sherwa Mate Talks after the debate.
Yeah, okay, go away. Get the fuck out of here.
After show is this one. So
go fuck yourself.
Y'all
want to send him an email? There's his email address.
All right, well, thanks so much for your introductory statement. We're going to go back to our main screen. Thanks for ending the screen share there. And we're going to hand it over to Craig. We're going to be picking for a little while. We had a little insight because I say Craig all the time. So set the record straight there, Captain Fight the Flat Earth, and then we're going to get started up here.
So what do you want to do? Am I going?
Yeah, for sure. I just
Okay,
like
cool.
set me right, Mr. Craig.
It's God to you.
You got a new one. All right, go ahead. 6 minutes on the floor. Thanks.
So immediately we see that there's rapport between the lefties and the moderator. Not only that, the moderator is submissive to Max, and then Craig has the audacity to sit there and say, "My name is God to you. You will listen to what I tell you to do." You know? That's some foreshadowing for you later on down the line when this little fucking asshat starts spurging his fucking head off and Ryan doesn't do a fucking thing about it. So
thanks everybody for your introductory statements. You're the last one to go, and then we're going to go into open discussion.
Okay, cards on the table. I've got no horse in this race. I'm not American. I don't vote there, and I don't really care who's red or blue. I'm looking at this from the outside where you can actually see the full picture, and honestly, that's probably the most unbiased perspective that you can get. When we talk about political violence, I'm not talking about people arguing on Twitter or waving signs. I mean actual violence, shootings, bombings, assaults, people being hurt or killed for political or ideological reasons. Both sides do it.
Okay, great. That's fantastic right there. Again, listen to your debate partner's opening statement, because what this guy just did was pull the piss right out of Mr. Marxist Urge fucking argument that violence isn't actually violence. Right? So also leaning into political violence, right? So that's good. That means he accepts Rob's redefinition of the prompt. Excellent. Excellent.
Let's make that clear straight away. There's no monopoly on lunacy. Left-wing and right-wing extremists in the USA have both used violence to push their politics. When you look at the data, there's a pattern, and it's not very subtle. The Center for Strategic and International Studies has tracked every extremist attack and plot in America for decades. Their 2025 data shows something interesting, and interesting enough, it lines up with the ADL, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security. So if they were wrong, they'd be different numbers around, but there isn't. But it does show something interesting. For the first time ever in about 30 years.
Okay, so admits definitions of political violence are shaky at best. Okay.
there were slightly more left-wing incidents than right-wing ones. Shocking, right?
Okay.
Until you look at who's actually killing people. In the past decade, left-wing extremists killed 13 people. Right-wing extremists killed 112. That's almost 10 times more deadly, and that's
Right. Okay. So concedes that left-wing incidents in the past year, and then is absolutely leaning on CSIS data, right? So Rob pointed that out, and he's already refuted that study. He's already demonstrated that that study is a piece of shit, and that's exactly what this guy is drawing from. So again, accurately predicted the opponent's strategy. Fucking master.
straight from the CSIS. Now, the Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism publishes an annual murder and extremism report. Their 2024 numbers show the same thing. In 2023, every single
That
extremist murder.
they're referencing the CSIS data. That's the primary source is your CSIS data. This is another thing that, but my study bro guys will fucking do is they'll find studies that sniff each other's farts and reference one another, and then they'll act like these are two different things. These are two pieces of information that support my argument. Like, no, I can show you in this one, it's actually referencing that one. And so that's only one piece of evidence, and that piece of evidence is skewed because, yada, 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 on down the line. Here's why that sucks. So, gotta keep your eye out for that, because they love to do that. They love to say, the data is overwhelming because I have all these sources. Well, it turns out all those sources actually point back to one singular fucking study in the first damn place, which, again, is probably skewed in one way or the other. And in this case, with CSIS, absolutely so.
Came from the right, mostly white supremacist and anti-government types. When you zoom out over 10 years, around 76% of all extremist murders were committed by right-wing extremists, 18% by domestic Islamic terrorists, and 4% by the left. So yeah, the far left does commit violence, but the far right have been doing it more often and with far more lethality.
Okay, yeah, that's just a conclusionary fucking wrap up. But again, all of that's based on faulty data. So it's very easy to disprove that entire argument.
This isn't coming from liberal media. These are you.
Yes, in fact, it is. A lot of it is coming from what we would consider to be "quote unquote" journalistic sources, which is part of why it is such shaky and shitty data. What's up, Nukes? It's good to see you, man. Or Nukes ISS. I'm sorry. I always get that wrong. Like I thought Nukes ISS was a girl for the longest time, but nope. I get that wrong a lot. I should just ask people. I can't see your face, so I guess it's an understandable question. What's up, Mr. Alley Cat? I see you over there. Says, I also swear this guy changes his name at least a dozen times during all of this. Craig. Yeah.
U.S. government's own security agencies. The Department of Homeland Security said in a 2024 Homeland Threat Assessment that the most persistent and lethal terrorism threat to the homeland continues to be posed by domestic violent extremists, particularly those motivated by racial or ethnic hatred.
Okay, so yeah, what was that? Government, I think it was the FBI, said, white supremacy is the greatest threat, right? Yeah.
Translation, the violent far right, especially white supremacist and anti-government groups, are America's biggest internal terrorism threat. Even FBI...
Yeah, but that was total fucking bullshit too, okay? They were telling us that while the BLM rants are going on in front of everybody's fucking face. It was complete and utter total propagandist gaslighting horseshit.
Director Christopher Wray told Congress the same thing. The top domestic terrorism threat we face comes from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, primarily those advocating for superiority of the white race. That's the FBI director, not a pundit. And if you look at the deadliest events...
What do you mean not a pundit? He's absolutely a fucking pundit. Who do you think appoints the FBI director? You fucking dipshit. But what the fuck ever.
The El Paso shooting, the...
Right. Allow me to grant the fact that neither one of these asshats are American. So they probably shouldn't even be speaking on the prompt in the first damn place. But, all right.
Boston Church Massacre, the Pittsburgh synagogue attack, the Buffalo supermarket, all right-wing extremist violence. Left-wing violence, on the other hand, tends to hit property, arson, vandalism, attacks on government offices. Still illegal, still unacceptable, but but not the same as mass murder. Let's talk protests. The ACLED US Crisis Monitor analysed tens of thousands of political demonstrations since 2020. They found that over 90% were peaceful across the board. But, and this is a big but, when protests do turn violent, right-wing groups are far more likely to show up armed, organised and spoiling for a fight. That is not me editorialising, that is what the data says. And
That's okay. That is you editorializing. All of that was editorializing. All of that was opinion right there. Let's go over it one more time. Let me make sure I'm not misrepresenting this. But all of that was fucking opinion. After the Christopher Wray. But
still illegal, still unacceptable for superiority of the white race. That's the FBI director, not a pundit. And if you look at the deadliest events, the El Paso shooting, the Charleston church massacre, the Pittsburgh synagogue attack, the Buffalo.
so it would be prudent to try to take notes on all of these examples that are coming out of his mouth, but he's going through it too quickly. So you're just gonna have to wait for him to bring those up individually. But the and these examples are not fresh in my memory anyway. But
supermarket, all right-wing extremist violence. Left-wing violence, on the other hand, tends to hit property, arson, vandalism, attacks on government offices.
Okay. So, shootings are right-wingers, vandals are left-wingers. That's how you can really kind of summarize that.
Still illegal, still unacceptable.
I remember now.
Not the same as mass murder. Let's talk protests. The ACLED US Crisis Monitor analysed tens of thousands of political demonstrations since 2020. They found that over 90% were peaceful across the board. But, and this is a big but, when protests do turn violent, right-wing groups are far more likely to show up armed, organised and spoiling for a fight. That is not me editorialising, that is what the data says. And let's be honest,
that is you editorializing again, because it's lefties that show up looking for a fucking fight. Antifa's always looking for a fight. That's why the Proud Boys actually became a thing instead of a meme on Gavin McInnes's show, which is where it started. If you remember, it was a fucking meme. It was a joke. And then because Antifa kept showing up and kept being violent and kept tearing shit down and kept burning shit up, somebody decided Proud Boys should actually become a thing to confront these assholes on their own fucking terms.
Rhetoric feeds this stuff.
Which amounted to brawls in the street, punching and kicking. I don't think any encounters between Antifa and Proud Boys actually resulted in any deaths. Not to my recollection, at least.
When politicians start calling their opponents the enemy, when people are told elections were stolen.
Okay, so what do you call? Okay, that's got to go in the notes. Because how many times have we heard from the left that Trump is Hitler, from Jasmine Crockett, from Ayanna Pressley, from Bernie Sanders, from every prominent fucking Democrat in Congress, that they're literally fighting literal Hitler, literally now. You know what I'm saying? So AOC, fucking, who's that old Latino lady? Rashida Tlaib? No, she's not Latino. It's Somali or something like that. But you get the point. It's over and over and over again from the left, calling us what they, freely and openly admit is a dehumanizing ad hom that, that we're Hitler, that we're Nazis, that we're beneath human. And so it's okay to punch us. It's okay to, maybe end somebody's life, such as Charlie Kirk, simply because of their rhetoric. This is such... I would blindside him with just a fucking mountain of testimony and quotes from fucking left-wingers. Absolutely waylaying their opponents as enemies.
Or that the FBI is out to get them, some unhinged people are going to take that literally. Trump's been a masterclass in that. You can't tell millions of angry people the country's being stolen, then act surprised when a few show up to defend it with guns and zip ties.
One major reason. And today...
excuse me, sorry. What was I going to say is, what do you call the left making it out that, somehow Trump is a king? What is the No Kings protest? Telling their the people who are participating in those demonstrations, what is it that they think is actually going on? You see what I'm saying? They're actively encouraging a hot revolution because they're saying there's no recourse. There's nothing that we can do except to, remove these people from office by any means necessary. That's literally one of their fucking taglines. By any means necessary. What the hell do you think that means? If not violence, if not, MDK. If y'all fucking recognize that retro gaming callback. Because words. K2 says, so insurrections? Yeah, exactly. That's what they're doing every fucking day.
Here's the reality. Both sides commit political violence. Fact. None of it is justified. Fact. But by any objective measure, body count, organization, government classification, the violent far right is the bigger threat to America right now. And it's not about opinion, it's about evidence.
Yeah, great. So let's talk about that evidence that you got there, bud. Rob's list absolutely dwarfs this. He had like 4 or 5 on the right. Rob went through about a dozen, but that's contradictory. You said what they think. You caught me. But what was I gonna say is this guy is clearly lit. Okay, when I say lit, I mean he's been drinking. And that's bad form. For the moderator, it's kind of okay because you're not arguing, like you're kind of just hanging out for the most part. But if you're actually participating in a debate, go into it drinking water. Don't muddle your mind with alcohol or any kind of inhibitions, right? That are going to make it difficult for you to think. He thinks that Craig here is who I'm talking about. Thinks that by sounding confident, he's going to drive his point home. But he hasn't effectively made a point in the first place. He's leaning super hard on faulty data. And he's already admitted to the redefinition of the debate to political violence that Rob was counting on, and he's citing what the FBI under Biden said is the greatest threat to our homeland, which is, if anything, that's leftist propaganda. So by our communist friends, definitions here, that's legislative violence coming from the left. Oh man. So again, he completely undermined this whole section of Max's fucking argument. And now he's actively making an argument that leans into blaming it on the left. So and then this vapid claim that the violence leftists commit doesn't actually hurt people, that's a complete and utter fabrication, right? We've seen trans shooters time and time again. We've seen people called out on the street for being right-wingers, right? Hey, we got a Trumper here, blah, blah. That guy died. Shot twice, point blank, simply for wearing a fucking Trump hat. You want to tell me that's right-wing political violence? Go fuck yourself. And there's a mountain of evidence saying that the person who shot Charlie Kirk was a left-winger. The least of which is his, lover, we'll just say.
CSIS, the ADL, the FBI, DHS, all say the same thing. The deadliest, most persistent domestic terrorism threat isn't coming from environmental activists or Antifa.
Again, all of that happened under which president? And all of those are presidential appointments? Oh, yeah, that's right. Biden, the leftist. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's coming from extremist movements on the right, racially motivated, anti-government, conspiracy-driven groups that see violence as patriotism. And from the outside,
they see violence as patriotism, huh? What do you call by any means necessary? What do you call what the left is doing every fucking day when they go out there and they say we need to punch a Nazi, we need to assault ICE officers, we need to burn down buildings and inventory that belong to Tesla dealerships. What the fuck do you call that? Goodness, I'm sorry. I'm skipping. I'm pausing too much, but.
Evidence. CSIS, the ADL, the FBI, DHS all say the same thing. The deadliest.
So that's important too. He didn't say all of that was not executive. That was the FBI, and then the ADL and DHS and CSIS, right? So the ADL is a political organization. They're not part of the government, and they are not unbiased. They are exceptionally biased. But
This most persistent domestic terrorism threat isn't coming from environmental activists or Antifa. It's coming from extremist movements on the right, racially motivated, anti-government, conspiracy-driven groups that see violence as patriotism. And from the outside, looking in, it's honestly quite sad to watch. America spends trillions protecting itself from foreign enemies, but statistically, the biggest threat to American lives is coming from inside its own country. Political violence doesn't protect freedom, it undermines it. It doesn't make America stronger, it tears it apart from the inside. And the truth is, the numbers do not care who you vote for. They do not care about party lines, or which network you watch, or what slogans on your hat. They just show where the bullets come from, and who they fucking hit.
All right.
so again, all of that's just emotional appeal and a whole lot of opinion and not a whole lot of data. Again, we looked at it. He only had a handful of examples, not nearly as much as Rob, and now he's congratulating himself with a celebratory drink from his cocktail. Yeah, while he laughs with his chat. I did good, didn't I? That was great. You're so full of shit. You basically just kicked your partner in the dick and conceded half the debate to Rob before you even get started with the exchanges. So, good job. I'll applaud you for that. But I tell you what, that's about all I can go through on it. That's all I want to go through on it. Let me put it that way. I'm already tired of listening to these fucking dickheads. But I'm going to go through and maybe review a little bit more of this before Rob comes up again at 10 o'clock. So I encourage you guys to do that if you want. And if you're looking for somewhere to go, well, you know what? Hang out with me for just a second. I want to go over these notes. So how would I use these, right? As we go through the debate and the exchanges, I would wait for them to reference each one of these things. I would make, I'd make a counter to their opener to start with. Half the shit that I just pointed out would probably come out in that. And I'd probably go after Craig first, because he seems like the easiest to actually at least have an exchange with. Right? Because with Max, you're going to be arguing about what words mean and what does this mean and why is Uruguay even relevant to this discussion? Who gives a fuck? All of that's kind of irrelevant. That's kind of derailing, right? So Craig actually engaged with the actual prompt, which is again limited to the scope of America. So that's why I would probably start with Craig, and then as I made a counter to his opening debate, I'd listen to his response and wait for him to hit one of these points, and I would attack that point directly. And then if I had time, I would look for some sources or evidence to try and support the arguments that I'm going to make against that specific point. But generally, that's not necessary. It's more important to make the argument effectively than it is to have the evidence on hand to back it up. And if it comes to it, they want to press your feet to the fire to say, what do you have to support that? Then go find it. But, and then, try not to speak out of your ass and talk about things you don't completely understand. For instance, some of those examples that he listed, I don't. I'm not entirely familiar with. So I would probably be looking those up as he's talking about them in order to try and get a handle on what it is that's going on there. AI is your friend in this instance. I'm sorry, Spiro, but one of the things large language models do actually do well is collating and summarizing search results. And that's basically all I would be doing with it. I'd go to Grok and I'd type in, tell me about this. And then I'd read the first paragraph and I'd probably try to find some supporting evidence for that and have that on hand. So my primary search engine is DuckDuckGo. Sometimes I'll go through Google, but one of the things DuckDuckGo has is this this AI assistant thing. That yeah, you can just hit that, and that's exactly what it does. It summarizes search results. It gives you its 2 top sources. Then you can ask it to expound if you want. So yeah, highly recommend this one. This one's nice and easy to use. This or Grok. So that's what I would recommend. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here though. I need to try to find some supper, get something to eat, and then yeah, get ready for a little bit later on tonight. We'll be hanging out with Rob North. So in the future, upcoming events, let me cover some of that first. I have 2 debates scheduled. Well, the second one's not quite scheduled yet, but I have 1 debate scheduled with Abe Dinkus on the 10th of November. And that is with Speakeasy, over on Speakeasy's channel. So I should probably find a link to the actual debate. Let me see if I can do that. And then after that, Spiro just earlier today in Rob's chat challenged me to a debate on which Zelda game is the greatest Zelda game ever. And of course, I'm gonna say, well, I don't know what I'm gonna say yet. But it's a silly debate. It should be a lot of fun. This one's definitely gonna come up though, because I've been playing Twilight Princess recently, and I like it. It's actually a remarkable entry in the litany of Zelda games. But so look forward to those 2 things happening. I'll see if I can track down this the Speakeasy link for you guys. Again, that's not until November 10th though. Okay. Yes. Wow, it's being super slow right now. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So this is the right debate. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Swords of Reason is what he calls it. So Emmett says, "Good luck, EOD." This is going to be on warrantless surveillance. So I am actually in the negative for this. Abe's in the positive. So I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. 12 days. Wow, I didn't realize it was 12 days from now. But thought we were like just on the cusp of November, so it's coming up soon. But all right. So definitely look for that on November 10th. That should be a hoot. I have had a great time arguing with Abe Dinkus before on Grid's channel, so I expect that to go exceptionally well. So neither one of us are going to turn into spurgoy little bitches hollering over each other. So shout out my debate. Oh, okay. Yeah, and Emmett's going to have a debate on Speakeasy. I'm sorry, dude, I closed the window, and it's being a bitch right now. I got to close a bunch of stuff in order to get my computer to stop being a little bitch. It's a potato. What can I do? Y'all get some super chat or get some donations in, and I'll be able to buy a new PC eventually. But for now, also definitely like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. I talk politics. We do D&D on the weekends. On Saturday, we will continue our main campaign. So that's a couple of days from now, and then I do some gaming too. So like if I'm bored on a Sunday or something, I'll throw on some old retro games and we'll have fun. Just going down the nostalgia rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I'm gonna send you over to Chris Lestrange. And I do not have the ability to actually raid because not enough of you guys are subscribing to my channel. So say hi to Chris Lestrange for me. Let him know who sent you. And I'll see you guys later on, man. I'll be around. I'll be here at 10 o'clock on Rob North doing the mod and stuff. So yeah, you take it easy. It's good seeing you guys. Cheers. So I'll give you a little bit of music before we go. With my nice fancy background, my video background. Turn the video background on. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Yeah. I'm in the jungle, bitch. All right, sorry. Anyway. I'll see you guys later. Go say hi to Crystal Lestrange for me. All right.
Stone halls echo, shadows creep, axis high, shadows deep, steel meets bone, war drums pound. Banners torn, red skies weep, marching forth, no time for sleep. Darkness reigns, we stand unbound. Axis high, shadows deep, through the fire we shall reap. Victory calls, the earth will quake. Axis high, shadows deep, none shall rise when mountains break. Blood of steel, blades collide, through the storm, dwarfs abide, minds of fire, forged in flake. Ravens cry, death's grim tide, enemies fall, no place to hide. Legends carved in stone, our name. Through the iron gates we stride, fearless hearts with honor tied. Axis high, shadows deep, through the fire we shall reap. Victory calls, the earth will quake. Axis high, shadows deep, none shall rise when mountains break. Blood on steel, blades collide, through the storm, dwarves abide. Minds of fire, the earth will quake. Axis high, shadows deep, none shall rise when mountains break. Blood on steel, blades collide, through the storm, dwarves abide. Minds of fire, forged in flake. Ravens cry, desperate tide, enemies fall, no place to hide. Legends carved in stone, our name. Through the iron gates we stride, fearless hearts with honor tied. Through the iron gates we stride, fearless hearts with honor tied.